with everything, with literal everything, is that most times when it comes to events like this, people are reactive. How long did we know about the quote C-19 before it actually hit the United States shores? We knew about it for a long time, and what was done about it? Nothing. I think it was back in 2012. There was what was called Operation Dark Winter, and it was to prepare the United States for an airborne pandemic, and nothing was done from 2012 until currently. So, and it's the same thing with healthcare. Preventative healthcare is always a better way to keep people healthy than reactionary healthcare. For whatever reason, the human condition causes us to always work in a reactionary way. So the thing that I find the most interesting is that there's a whole industry for insurance, which insurance is a contingency plan in case of an unexpected event. And yet and still, people who value sole proprietary assets like a platform, like a YouTube channel, they never put in place a contingency plan. And in my opinion, the contingency plan is the most important.
That's what we're asking. We're asking for a goddamn contingency plan. That's all we want.
Yeah,
Don, before you go on, let's welcome Poppy in the building. Shout out to you. Looking like the goddamn Black John Wick in this motherfucker over here. Baba Yaga, happy hunting, okay? What's good? Welcome to the stream, brother. How you doing? Hey, Don,
let's do it, family.
Yeah, it was a high value.
How's everybody doing today?
Good, my brother.
We good. Welcome to the stream, man. I'm glad you suited up. We ready to go, man. We ready to go. I see you got the.
Yeah, I found a place, man. I found a place.
Hey, listen.
Jeez.
Don, you the freaking co-host of the show, man.
Did you send the memo out? The memo. It's not even did you get the memo. You sent it out, right?
I sent it out. I put it in the broadcast the previous day. Y'all should have known. We coming in the suit, all right, because we going to have a discussion about business today, all right, people? Commander Junior said this. I think this is a good starting point for us to get deep into this video, right? Because I want to dissect this live too as well, and I want to turn this into a discussion, and we can even turn it into a debate if you want, right? But I want this to be a discussion about executives versus entrepreneurs, all right? Because I think these are two different people coming from two different worlds, and we got to basically break that down. Because what Kevin Samuel says on the stream, I think he's coming at it from a perspective of someone who's had years being an executive type character working in these types of industries, right? So with guys like him, I almost liken him to like a Tim Cook type of character, right? A Tim Cook, not necessarily a Steve Jobs type of individual, but a Tim Cook can come in and run it and make it happen, right? Not saying you can't be high value being a CEO or an employed executive, but you're coming from a different world, because for that, guys like that to be successful, they need an already written in place structure. And I would even go as far as to throw the lead attorney in that boat too as well, right? I don't know if he runs his own firm. If he does, it's a little bit of both. But I would say they're more in that executive style class where there needs to be an underlying form of structure. Now, here's where I would go with the Lapeef and Anton Daniels. They're more of the entrepreneurship side. I would say the difference would be that from Tim Cook would be Steve Jobs, right? Steve Jobs has a more creative, being able to mentality, to expand and look at different things, more creative, right? So with that, you come with growth and innovation. Not growth, but mainly innovation, right? And expansion, because you're willing to try new things and you're willing to venture out into the unknown. And what ends up happening is, because you're taking on that risk, there's a bigger reward to that. And eventually you have more money to hire these executives for growth. So I would say guys like Kevin Samuels, they're more opt for working within systems and structures that are optimized. And these guys build, not only work within these systems well, but while they're working with these systems, they also help grow, right? They're more apt to grow it, and it's evident in Kevin Samuels' channel, right? Someone who could come into the manager space, learn all he can that he can learn, and then use that and take off to build a 1 million plus following, right, on both Instagram and YouTube. So that's definitely that's a mindset of an executive kind of personality. Where on the other hand, you have someone like a Lapeef, Anton Daniels, who are more on the entrepreneurship side of things, right? Not a whole lot of structure, but not a whole lot of it there, or at least more apt to take more risks type of guys. You can't then look at a guy like that who's apt to take more risks and say, no, it's better for you to work in the structure. What? To me, that's like, time out. You know who you're talking to? I'm working within a system here. They're taking 30% of my money from these damn super chat. God knows how much of the percentage of cut they're taking from me. And on top of that, they can ban me off this platform at any point in time. Are you kidding me? Nah, I want to build something that's mine and I own it. I want to do something like that. So guys like that are meant to work on these systems. And it brings me to Commander Junior. So I'll comment here because he said you need an army to run a network because you're going against powerful people. Absolutely. But I would say the manosphere is pretty powerful too as well. And if we actually, I really think that if we can figure out how to coordinate and talk to each other and utilize each and every one of our skills, bro, we have the army over here already. I don't care how powerful these niggas are, how powerful these people out here are. All right, we got a huge army of simps and great value males who are dying for knowledge, okay? And these motherfuckers, I would argue, are way more powerful than some of these hidden hands out here because we've seen the fact that they got the bread, they got the money, they can do it. So if you can tell these guys and say, hey, listen, all right, we want to give you the real, raw, unfiltered truth to basically help you guys step up your game, but you also got to support us on this other platform over here. We're going to be simultaneously posting on both because we got the time. Of course, those brothers are going to be there. And I would even argue some of those guys would even super chat or even donate to be able to help that platform become something. And someone would even just volunteer to be part of the project, to be part of the network, right? So I would say that's something that's completely doable, Commander Junior. Space Hopper 45. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Poppy Wicko. That's fact. My man looking like a black John Wick over here.
So
hey, you guys piggyback off of that. Go ahead.
So I'm curious though, what do you all know about some of the alternative platforms like Rumble or Twitch or Parler or some of these other ones out there? You know, it's not like this is the first time that anybody's been saying, hey, we need less restrictive platforms to come out. But nobody else has really competed with YouTube, in my opinion, to this point. Why do you think that is? Why are some of these other startups not getting the traction and getting there?
Because on their backs, bro. Like, I mean, any platform that Google supports is going to do really well. Like, Google owns YouTube and Google owns the internet, basically. So
I agree.
If you're being supported by Google, you're not going to, like, I don't think anything is going to come up and be, especially when a lot of people are using Google as your main search engine.
Well, people don't even say search; they say Google. I'm gonna Google.
Exactly.
Like it's a verb.
Exactly.
Google,
Exactly.
like you know, you made it when your brand has become a verb, right?
So it's easier for them to push out any kind of competition because everybody's going to be using Google to search for whatever they're searching for.
Well,
right, Don. That's an excellent point.
Oh, let me go
ahead, dude.
Real quick
go
to
ahead,
add on. Because I've actually worked for a lot of tech startups for this. I sold a lot of products for them. And here's the thing with a lot of these tech startups is a lot of them build their companies to basically sell to guys like Google.
Yeah.
That's actually, they're so big because here's the thing, a lot of these young entrepreneurs, right, when they come into the business, they come in knowing that, hey, we got two options, right? We come in, get the VC funding, right, and, try to keep this running as much as we can. But ultimately, our goal is to get bought out by a completely different company, or they just look at it as a cash squeeze. But in some of these young startups, especially some of these app companies and tech startups, you see the main goal is to build it just enough where you become that golden goose, where a lot of these bigger companies would look at you and say, okay, you're the next best thing. Let me go ahead and scoop you up. That's basically what it is. So a lot of these young entrepreneurs, their goal is to build something to basically sell. So to go to the original point, Primal, why where you see these guys, these conglomerates basically expanding their reach and expanding their networks, and you don't really see a big competitor to YouTube, it's because when that competitor becomes viable enough or they come at it with a different angle, they get snatched up by the big guys, or this is how fucking crazy these guys are, right? What they'll end up doing is just, if you're not willing to follow play ball, they'll just replicate your program and then just go ahead and put it on their platform, and then guess what? They can eat up the lawsuit. It don't matter. You can sue them. They can go to the copyright. You can try. Listen. They already have expenses for that. That's nothing. That's the cost of doing business for them. But go ahead.
So wouldn't the black YouTube just get bought out then?
If we care, here's the crazy thing. If we care more about the money than care more about the message, then yes, it's easy to see that same thing happening.
Exactly. Well, and here's another thing too. Don actually brought up a great point, and I think people just glossed over it. The number one search engine in the world is Google. The number two search engine in the world is YouTube. So what people don't really understand about the YouTube market and that whole web is that YouTube is actually, for the most part, mostly utilized as a search engine, right? Now, when it comes to building your own platform, you have to say, well, what do we want to do as far as building a platform? If you want to build a platform as like a streaming service or an entertainment service, then maybe the YouTube approach is not the proper approach to take. One of the best ways to secure a market is to find a marginal approach, a wedge within that market that's a completely unfilled void and take up that entire void. So if you look at YouTube as a search engine, if you look at Google as a search engine, then you understand YouTube is completely integrated into Google. There's no way you're going to be able to compete with that. YouTube search statistics show up on Google Analytics. Google Blogs is connected. Google Hangouts, literally any Google platform is connected directly into YouTube. So there's going to be cross-platform compatibility. There's all of these kind of things that there's going to be no possible way that you can compete with. So what you have to do is you have to market solely based on your product, whatever kind of value it is that you're bringing, and you have to market it strictly either to some kind of video playback program, or you have to market it strictly to some kind of streaming process. Because if we look at censorship, we can look at people like Dave Chappelle, right? We just went through this whole thing where Chappelle, they wanted to cancel Chappelle, but Chappelle brought so much value to Netflix, it was, when they did a cost benefit analysis, is not worth allowing him to be canceled. So you have to bring so much value that it's not the best decision to cancel somebody. And I think that that's possible. I mean, it is possible because we create good value content. And as long as we continue to build on that good value content, and as long as we continue to build with the subscribers that we have, and they show the loyalty that they always show, the possibilities are endless. See, to me, like, Duke had asked a question earlier about somebody like Kevin Samuels who wants to work within the system, and then people who have the entrepreneurial spirit that want to work outside of the system. That goes into what me and Primal were talking about yesterday as far as internal and external locus of control. Somebody who wants to be an employee, they have an external locus of control. They don't mind being dictated by their environment, so they're going to let the environment tell them what to do. If you don't like the environment and you want to have total control, then you have to exercise that internal locus of control and say, you know what, I'm going to take away all of the good things that I've learned from being over here, and I'm going to modify them with innovations and a learning curve to make a better process over here.
That's facts, and I think this is also a learning opportunity for a lot of young guys right now who are coming into the space, and not just this particular space, but I'm talking about the space of just the world of business and the world of corporate shenanigans, right? When you come into the space, because here's what we see. A lot of times we see, and Peter, I love this comment. I want to go ahead and touch upon that in a second. But when you see some of these guys, when you come into the space, right? Not the manosphere, but we're talking about when guys who are coming into entrepreneurship, they have this vague idea of what it is, right? And that's what, because we see even in this particular space, manosphere, we talk about the concept of the high value man. Now, to give Kevin Samuels, to be fair, that's not his concept. All right, that's the concept that's been out there floating about. He was able to structure it and standardize it, and pretty much create a talking point out of it that makes it easily digestible, right? He broke it down to the six figures, networks, and all the concepts and whatnot. So, but we see in the age of the internet, everybody wants to be this entrepreneur. Everyone's selling the boss babe, the entrepreneurship dream, things like that. And the problem is, a lot of people don't know the kind of work or even the kind of spirit it takes to go into those fields. A lot of people don't realize that there are different kinds of business people. And to even consider yourself to be an entrepreneur, you have to first understand what kind of business person you are. Because I tried to figure this out, right? You're either a builder, which is someone who basically builds a business from the ground up, right? I would say someone like a Bill Gates, Elon Musk, someone who can really get into work and build it, right? And these guys typically aren't guys, they can build something, but they're not guys who are up to running the business, right? These are the guys who are more inclined to basically hire an executive and help them take on. And you got guys who are up to be more middleman type of guys. This is actually where my business expertise come in, because I'm a middleman. I'm the ultimate kind of middle guy. All right, that's my business model.
I'm a builder.
I see, you got a builder over here. I'm a middleman kind of guy, right? And then you got the takeover guys that come in, take over, and make it happen. But the middleman guy, listen, to me, is the easiest kind of thing, because my whole goal is to basically connect one group of people over here to another group of people, and then keep the profits in between. Easiest amount of money. I don't need to own 100% of it. I don't need to just give me 5%, give me my cut, and I'm good to go. You see what I'm saying? That's what. So that's the personality. When a lot of people come into this entrepreneurship space, right, they don't understand what kind of business personality they are. So they come in, they think they're the builders, but they're actually middleman type of guys, right? So meaning that's a whole different kind of approach when you come into that business. But a lot of guys don't do it. So they jump into the space headstrong without really a whole lot of thought process, and they get burnt out. Right, and on the contrary, right, a lot of these guys who are in their 9 to 5 jobs right now and in that situation, who have that spirit to want to be entrepreneurs, not really realizing what it takes to be able to get out of what their situation, or not realizing they can use their 9 to 5 to be able to get the experience they need to be able to go out there and build something that's worthwhile. So I think there's a lot of confusion when people talk about this entrepreneurship space, or coming in making 6 figures, or doing all stuff without a lot of specificity. Because if you don't understand what kind of character or personality types you are, you're less likely not gonna be successful, right? And it's okay if you realize, hey, listen, I'm a 9 to 5 kind of person. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
Guess what? You can be a 6 figures executive, right? You can be, be in a position where you have a lot of leadership roles and responsibilities, and still make that money. But you're not the sole owner of an organization, right? You're not the big, dick swinging dude in the building, right? It's not you, but you hold a fair amount of weight, and you're doing your thing. That's possible too as well, and that is okay. But a lot of times, I think a lot of people think, well, coming into this world, I think, you know what? I think I'm just gonna picture my life on the beach, picture, all this stuff in the sand, me making all this money coming in from left and right without me having to do anything. That's the wrong kind of mentality. All right, so I think this is just even watching this and seeing the different dynamic between Kevin Samuels and Anton Daniels and some of the guys at the Lapeef Network, right? Two different dynamics, and I think those two guys basically exemplifies the example I just gave out today. So go ahead. Anyone has anything to add to that?
Yeah.
Go ahead and get the radio prep.
I see it. Oh, go ahead, Don.
All right, quick thing I did want to mention a little bit earlier, going off what you were saying about the two different types of people. The problem is these guys, they have nothing to gain either, because right now they're doing pretty well. Like the Kevin Samuels and all the other top YouTubers. Right now they're doing pretty well, so it's more of a risk to them to even start competing with YouTube or creating a different platform for, say, Black YouTubers or the manosphere. So, which is one thing that goes into the whole being an executive versus an entrepreneur, because entrepreneurs are willing to take that risk because they don't. Because keep in mind, a lot of people when they first actually set out to be an entrepreneur, a place they kind of mistake what their role is, like what you were saying about the builder and the middleman, and then the managers and all that. They mistake what their role is, so they kind of get put in a role that's not right for them. Usually, it's a builder. So, if, like, for example, you as a middleman wants to start a company, and you go in as a builder, then you're not gonna enjoy that position.
I would hate my life.
Exactly.
I've actually done that.
You get burnt out. I know you did, because I was actually working with you with one of your initial projects a few years ago. So I know that's like you get burnt out real easily because you have no interest in that. And the same thing for, like, say, Kevin Samuels, for example. If he goes in and tries to build something, he's going to get burnt out, especially since he has no reason to. He's already very comfortable. Yeah. He has 1 million subscribers on YouTube, 1 million on Instagram, and I'm pretty sure his image consulting business is going well too. So I think we need to give some kind of incentive first for people who are on the top like that. And keep in mind, 1 million in YouTube standards is not a lot of subscribers. Because there are people out there who have like 5 million, 10 million, 15 million, like PewDiePie and Mr. Beast, and like there are other YouTubers like that who are literally in like 30 million-ish range. Yeah. So I don't think he has as much leverage as you would think in his space with just 1 million.
Right, but then we also do have the power of niching, right? That we do have the power of niching, and niching is a very powerful tool, right? O'Shea talks about this. I think Poor Man Podcast has mentioned this a while back, but Lead Attorney has definitely talked about this too as well, and Anton Daniels has definitely talked about it. But niching down is a very powerful thing, and these guys have talked about it in various different forms and different streams. But it's one of those things where, if you got a niche that really rocks with you, that really fucks with you like that, they'll come over to other platforms and deal with you. you, right? They'll come over to other places to show their support and to be able to, hey, listen, I fucks with this creator. Listen, if they're gonna go to your website to buy merch, if they're gonna go to your Patreon to make something happen, for Pete's sakes, they're gonna pay money to come up to a platform that knows is built by you or members that are supported by your network. And on top of that, it's raw, unadulterated, unfiltered content that they can be getting. It's pretty much like a permanent Patreon that they can have. Not saying that, listen, YouTube is very powerful, and Primal was right. We can't beat it, right? It's in Blacklight, I think you said it's integrated into every aspect of our world. Yes, but not to say that here's the most important thing that people don't understand about Google, right, and about YouTube. They built themselves to basically just be the ultimate ad machines. That's it. So with ads, we got to use it just like anything else, right? So taking myself back into a business mind, I'm looking at that as a traffic source. I'm looking at a huge, fat traffic source that already have a nice little network that I can whittle people right over to my stream or my platform that I need to know, where I have more control and I can put up more exclusive, enticing content. Because I'm gonna tell you this, the manosphere is gonna keep growing, right? Our market's gonna keep growing. We're gonna have a bigger and bigger market share, right? Everybody's gonna get their slice of the pie, but it's just about, hey, we got this big looming goddamn elephant in the room, which is censorship, which is kind of control that we still have to combat and try to move and run, twist either way. I'm just saying, if we have an entrepreneurship kind of spirit like Anton Daniels and guys over at the Beef Network, right? I think that their mindset's going to be a little bit different than Kevin Samuels, and I don't think that when Kevin Samuels was talking to him on that stream, that he was really coming at it from a mindset of an entrepreneur. Not saying he's not an executive and can't be a successful executive, because clearly he is. He's built 1 million subs within a platform, within a system itself, but brothers are built differently, bro. It's just like some brothers are wired to work within the system, and some brothers are not wired to work within the system. I know, I've been both. And like Don said, yeah, there are projects where, like, if I have to be a builder to be like invested in every nook and cranny of the project, I would lose my fucking mind. I can't do it, right? I would much rather just pay somebody to do it for me and get the dirty work done. And I come on in and I do my thing, and I'm a sales guy. Then I go find the businesses that I want to work with and go form partnerships or build relationships with, and that's it. Because I know what I'm good at is sales. All right, so I'm a help build something, but I'm gonna take that and go use my expertise, because I'm a middleman type of guy at the end of the day, right? And I think it's basically understanding the kind of business personality that you are, because just like in normal relationship personality and interpersonal communication personalities that we see in different people, different kind of business owners and different kind of businessmen have different types of personalities. Steve Jobs is going to be different than Elon Musk. Bill Gates is going to be different than a Tim Cook. They're two different characters, two different mindsets. One's apt to take way more risk, and the other one's a corporate person that's meant to just keep things going, and they're more wired for growth.
Well, yeah, Duke, what you're saying right now is interesting, and see, this is one of the reasons, like, I love when you have these kind of conversations, because we can actually talk in business language. See, what you have as far as Kevin Samuels goes is you have someone who's, quote, traditional, right? When you have Antoine Daniels, who we're lucky enough to have in the chat right now, and I verified that's actually his channel. So he's a change agent. He's a change agent. And what a change agent does is a change agent brings a new dynamic to an existing system. And the issue that change agents go through is that a lot of times there's a lot of resistance from the old initial infrastructure. And one thing that a change agent has to do is, it doesn't matter if you go on the lead attorney and Kevin Samuels is on there and nobody sees the vision that you have. And that's the reason why you're a visionary, because you have a vision. Go ahead, bro.
Anton, I put the link right in the description, brother. I put it right there. Y'all, you should see it right there. Go ahead, Black.
Yeah, all I'm saying is that he's a change agent, and my advice to him would be, it doesn't matter what Kevin Samuels says. It doesn't matter what the lead attorney says. What matters is what your heart says and what you feel would service your subscriber base the most. You have to remember that you might have lost your channel, but you didn't lose your supporters. Absolutely. That's what you can't lose. Just don't let that break your spirit. You know, and that especially when you talk about YouTube, that's the most important thing in this game. Like, that really is. And let me welcome. Hold up. Let me get it. Anton in the building. Hold up.
What's going on, friends?
What's going on, Anton? How you doing, man? Appreciate you.
I'm doing well. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear. Hey, first of all, we're glad that you're the channel. I heard the channel's back up. Someone sent this up.
Is it back
Yeah,
already?
so that's good. But
Nice.
what? Go ahead, man. What are your thoughts on this? Because here's the thing. Let me just say this. I think that you and Kevin Samuels, especially on that stream, you guys have different mentalities, man. I see you as more as an entrepreneurship type of person, as a builder, as someone who's willing to take more risk. And I see Kevin Samuels as more as an executive kind of person, someone who can come in within the system and really they're more optimized to grow, right? And he's proven that with his platform, he can grow it and he has a strategy to do so. But on the risk taking side, it just isn't there. But what do you think about that analysis or that take?
If I had to put it in perspective, I would say Kevin is Jay-Z. I feel like I'm Kanye West.
That's facts.
Think about it. Nobody was trying to hear Kanye when he was talking that he was Disney and that he's Steve Jobs and all of this other type of stuff. In hindsight, he's a genius. Now, I'm not saying that I'm a genius because I'm a C student, all right? But what I'm saying is everything I do is a 10 to 15-year vision, right? I don't care about what Taylor Swift is doing. I don't care about what Drake is doing. I'm paying attention and trying to understand how Chameleonaire did it. I'm looking at, what's my man name from Strange Music?
Tech Nine.
I'm looking at Tech Nine. You know what I'm saying? I studied the Kanye Wests. The thing about it that people don't understand is that most people look at things from the perspective of just trying to get on, right? Very early on in my whole YouTube journey, and I've been on YouTube for a long time, probably like 8 or 9 years, I've always looked at the intangibles, right? I used YouTube early on not as a platform in order to monetize or get my following up. I used YouTube in order to leverage it to create visibility as to how it was I was able to market myself and become a greater executive, right? People would tap into me and say, Anton, I see what you're doing over there, right? Because once you get past a certain level, it's about creating visibility for yourself. It's about your network. It's about all of that. I was thinking about this 8, 9, 10 years ago because it painted a picture and I understood that who you were online was going to be more relevant than who you were in real life, being able to market yourself effectively. That was 10 years ago. Telling your story, telling your journey, so on and so forth. I'm looking at 2032. I'm paying attention to the lessons of yesteryear. I'm paying attention to the fact that I just did a story today on Fetty Wap, and he's doing the exact same thing, or he fumbled the bag in the exact same way that artists all the way back to Hammer years, all the way back to the 80s, he did the exact same thing. The thing that people don't understand is content creators are the new rappers.
Yeah.
Right? They're the new singers. They all of that, right? And so when you understand that, then you can start to master the system. And it's not about, I'll give you an example. There's a lot of YouTubers that have more subscribers than me. And now I have a ton of subscribers, all right? I have a massive amount of loyal followers, right?
Yeah.
But they don't do the type of numbers that I do revenue-wise. They don't understand how to license your content, right? They don't understand how I make way more money off outside of YouTube than I do on YouTube. They don't understand about sponsorships. They don't understand about marketing. They don't understand any of that. And so they're so busy trying to monetize the platform, aka record label. Let me get as many royalties as we can. Yeah. And I'm trying to tell people that you don't got to do it that way, right? YouTube is just a vehicle. It's a tool. It's a tool in your toolbox. It's a very awesome tool, right? But it's just a way in which you can funnel traffic. Once you build your name up, and most people stay in the mindset of a person that's just trying to get 1,000 followers, trying to get 10,000 followers, trying to get 25,000 followers or whatever. Once you get there, you're supposed to continue to level up. If you're a person that's trying to get out of debt, you're going to follow Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey has a threshold. Right? Anybody that understands finance or understand how money works, and I'm not talking about starting a business, anybody that understands becoming a businessman understands that once you get to the starting line, Dave is there to get you out of debt and get you to the starting line. It's another level.
Yeah.
It's another level in the music business. It's another level when it comes to content creation. It's another level the whole way. And so, I'm paying attention and I'm saying, okay, the immediate thing that I need to do is figure out how I can move people off of or use the vehicle of YouTube and whatever other social media network that y'all are great on to create the visibility, right? And then I want to funnel the traffic to my own stuff. In the near term, the traffic is being funneled to my Patreon, and I have thousands of Patreon members. In the long term, I'm cutting out Patreon altogether. I'm a what's my man name in American Gangster? Frank Lucas. I'm cutting out the middleman 1,000%. So whereas you need 2 million subscribers to make the type of money that I'm going to make when I just got 10,000 loyal Patreon members. And when I say loyal, they are fierce. They rock with me. They love me. And there is nothing that they won't do to me. You don't, as content creators, what I try to tell people, you don't have to try to ride the wave. You don't have to try to do reaction videos. You don't have to do none of that. You need to find your audience because it's 9 billion people on this earth. And what I've been able to figure out is that I don't need all of them. I just need a cool 150,000 of them that truly loyally follow me. I don't want 1 million people where they occasionally tune in. I want 150,000 that love me to death. And that's the difference. I look at things and I study other people and I realize that I'm bigger than my environment. I'm bigger than YouTube. I'm telling you, I'm 10 years ahead of everybody else. When I build it, they're going to say that I'm crazy.
That's that internal locus of control. You got that entrepreneurial spirit. That's exactly what you were saying was literally what me and Primal and Duke and Don have all been saying. You're seeing beyond what the capabilities of YouTube have in order to create an organic.
That's that Steve Jobs mentality. That's that Steve Jobs mentality I was saying, right?
Yeah, I shouldn't be giving this level of game, but I do have to give y'all something. Watch. Listen, I'm rocking. We doing it. Me and JR are building this. This is a 10-year vision. As a matter of fact, losing our channel was a huge blessing in disguise. I mean, it was the best thing that could have ever possibly happened to us because we had already been putting things in place, but we wasn't doing it at the speed in which we decided we're gonna do it now. It's a completely different game now, and like I said, it's cool to be a YouTuber.
Was it the censorship then that kind of gave you that sense of urgency that says, "Hey, man, like we need to have that. We need to this 10-year plan. We need to make it like 7 years or 5 years. We need to cut that in half, right?" So what was that internal? Because I know you must have been feeling something right here in your gut, right? That fire, like, damn, bro, like this just happened, and I have zero control of what's happening right now.
No, I was excited. Like if you look at me on the Lead Attorney show yesterday, I was laughing, like I was cracking up. You know what I'm saying? Because anybody that's been in business for an extended period of time understand that failure happens on a regular basis. But when you endure through it, the thing about success is that it's not based off of whether or not you got a good idea or not. There's a million good ideas. Very few people are going to execute on them, and even less are going to endure long enough to be able to see the results or the success of it.
Yeah.
I don't want it quick. I want to make sure I go the long way. I'm gonna go the steps, and then we're gonna see who prevail at the end. The end. I'm telling you, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be absolutely insane. But,
one of the main things, because when I was listening to that live stream too as well, because I had to dive into it, because I definitely, I saw where Kevin Samuel's point is, but just looking at, because I watch your channel, I'm sub to your channel, I fuck with a lot of things you say.
Appreciate you,
but one of the things is I also see the entrepreneurship spirit. So when I'm hearing that, because I see your vision, and you say, okay, I have a plan to go ahead and, step outside this, because the younger generation, that's what it is. We're looking at this, and we're looking for more entrepreneurship opportunities out there, right? We're not looking at these corporate standings or these systems, because a lot of young guys aren't really even built to be able to work within systems or structures like that. So seeing someone like you say, okay, this happened to me, now we're gonna turn around, we're gonna get our own thing. I'm sitting there like, let's do it.
But you know what? Honestly, it's not. But the reasons are different, right? A lot of people do it because they say, well, I don't want to be dependent on YouTube or whatever, so on and so forth. I'm just doing it just because it's just inherently in me to build things.
Yeah.
It's just inherently in me to branch out and try and to figure out how I can solve for a problem. Like at heart, my profession, I was vice president of user experience at a major bank. It's on my LinkedIn and all of that. Like people can go and check all of that or whatever. Vice president of user experience, and user experience is literally taking a software engineer, which engineers solve problems, And it's figuring out how it is that we can leverage our insight in order to solve for more problems on a human level. It doesn't matter if it's an application, don't matter if it's the flow of how people come in and out of restaurants. Solving for problems is often a wave that's often hard to go through, but if you can endure long enough to actually get to the other side, it'll be much more beneficial both financially and for the people that actually rock with you. I'm a build it, and maybe it's just because I'm hard-headed, right? Kev is like, Anton, you crazy, you know, on and so
I was
forth.
looking at that because I'm like, no, you're not crazy, Anton.
Well, think about it like
you're
this.
literally doing what you need to do.
Think about it like this. I got to get rid of some money anyway because I don't want to be taxed on it.
Yeah.
So I might as well do it like this. If I don't spend it, then the government going to take it anyway. So why not?
They're gonna think they can spend it better, right? No.
Yeah. They gonna spend it on they gonna spend it and they gonna give it away anyway. So I might as well spend it and if I fail, I fail. But I guarantee you, it won't be a failure. It'll be a learning experience so that I can build an even bigger platform. Either way, it's coming.
I wouldn't say necessarily because what I was thinking of, because I'm like, okay, well, Kevin Samuels is obviously one of the larger platforms in the space. So if we're talking about having people come over and adopt it, or I mean, not saying you're not going to stop YouTube or you're going to stop YouTube, because clearly that's going to be a marketing source to drive traffic towards, your the main source, kind of like you're doing with Patreon right now. So if it's working, it's a very successful model with Patreon. Why wouldn't it be as similar with being able to have a streaming platform to be able to build? You have the money.
Here's the key though. It's not even to build. See, the goal for me is not to build a streaming platform. The goal for me is just to build a platform to where I don't have to funnel on the Patreon. They coming over and we just cutting out the middle. We gonna cut out the middleman all the way. Why would I get 30% to Patreon? Why would I get 30% to YouTube? Why would I give any of them this at all? Like, it makes sense when you don't have a loyal group of people that actually rock with you. But not only could I control, because I mean, let's be clear. Yeah, you can send them over to Patreon, but Patreon is still, if you read their terms of service and their policies, they have control of whether or not they want to embrace you also.
Yeah.
Why would I subject myself to that when I can just build my own? And it's not going to cost me. Listen, I already own a web development company. I already have developers on contract that's working on other projects for me. I'm going to leverage my resources and my developers, and we're going to do it on our own. And it's not going to take that long, but we're going to test it. We're going to build the app. We're going to do everything. And I may not build it for everybody, or it may be a pilot, and I might pilot it with myself. But ultimately, if I can build a better user experience based off of my own vision for what I see makes the most sense for the people that rock with me, why wouldn't I do it?
Yeah. See,
I'm still going to use YouTube and Facebook and every other funnel to make sure that I funnel that traffic there. Two things can be true at the same time.
No, absolutely. I know, Don, you had a question, but there's one thing that. Okay, I had one disagreement I had with Kevin Samuels on that particular stream on TLA. And guys, we can have respectable and disagreements, right? But was when he was talking about reading the terms and conditions, and for the other ones. I do see where he's coming from with understanding the terms and conditions and some of these app and platforms, but we know that these terms, they tend to be vague with some of their wording sometimes. So, and then some of them, they write it intentionally to keep it that way so they can keep that certain control. So just because you read the terms and conditions doesn't mean or necessarily translate to knowing or knowing what that particular platform or owner of the platform is going to behave when that situation should arise.
Yeah, I agree. I think the thing about it is that what people don't understand is that platforms are always going to be incentivized by whatever it is that drives their revenue, right? OnlyFans earlier in the year had indicated that they were going to transition away from certain type of content simply because, their merchants and the people that process their transactions, the Visas, the MasterCard or whatever, and them trying to grow their platform, was threatening to, move in a certain type of way in which they wouldn't even rock with them anymore, which was one of the reasons what caused them to, move differently and start to affect whatever. And then all of the content creators just had to pray. Oh God, OnlyFans, let me protest. Man, I'm tired of protesting. Like and honestly, I don't believe in being a victim. The thing that I said from the very beginning, me and JR, is that we said, listen, don't feel sorry for us. Like, we gonna do what we do regardless, whether it work out this way or it work out that way. We're going to win all the way across the board because
Nice.
the people that respond to adversity and able to solve for a problem are often the ones that are going to be successful. And so we don't worry about what everybody else is doing. We don't, even on a platform, we don't worry about the type of content that everybody else is creating. We just do us because we're not looking to be a part of the in crowd. We're looking to create the wave. That's what we do. We create the wave. And the wave
I love
now,
that. That's what I
the
want to hear.
wave now, think about it. Think about it. Do you want to be who got a recent endorsement, a shoe endorsement? Basketball players.
All of them. In college, everybody getting them now. When they go to college.
Any of them. Pick one. Paul George, whatever, right? Let's use the biggest one. Michael Jordan. Do you want to be Michael Jordan or do you want to be Kanye West?
Well, Michael
I'm just
Jordan
wondering.
got violated.
Michael Jordan
Got violated on his Nike deal.
No. I'm talking about thinking about it from a business perspective.
From a
From a
business
business perspective, when it comes to the end result, do you want to be Michael Jordan or do you want to be Kanye West?
Well, Jordan, because he got the most, his shoe will never die. Kanye, I don't know.
Not about his shoe. He's only getting a percentage of the shoe.
Yes,
Kanye West controls the narrative. He can literally take his brand
That's
anywhere
right.
he wants to.
He owns Yeezys.
I know what you're trying to say, but Michael Jordan.
Listen, you're looking at it from a financial perspective and saying, well, Jordan's shoe will never die or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Jordan is largely dependent on Nike's prowess, marketing team, the whole 9 yards, right? Kanye controls everything. Now it's a lot more work, it's a lot more responsibility, and I understand. Listen, some artists need a major label. I don't feel like I do. Or here's a better thing. Kanye West came up through a major label, but I don't feel like he needs it at this point. Some people outgrow it. Nas is bigger than any label that he binds to. And so for me, I mean, a label can be anything. Jordan's label is Nike. Yeah. I should be able to take my brand to any distributor and still be able to thrive. I think that at some point, and I'm not even talking about me, I'm talking about content creators as a whole. Yeah. At some point, certain content creators become bigger than their circumstance, or they become bigger than whatever platform it is that they're on. Kevin Samuels is a household name. Kevin Samuels is not Kevin Samuels on YouTube. Kevin Samuels is Kevin Samuels. So I don't know. I just look at it a little bit differently, and maybe it's just because of.
I also think, though, if we were all would have come in and say, because I mean, Kevin Samuels, you with the acumen and lead it to everyone coming in and say, hey, listen, I'm not even saying, okay, we all got to come together and sing Kumbaya to build a platform or anything. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that if we all said, hey, listen, we all, for new content creators coming out here and all this stuff, we want to network outside of this and grow and post videos and do all those things, right? Here's what we got going on. Here's a little, I don't know, put a little fee up there to make it happen, right? But, this is another network for help for you guys to get on and, around this space. I think, it'd be easier for that to happen because, like you said, Kevin Samuels is a household name. It's like a celebrity endorsement coming in and saying, all right, well, I'm endorsing this app. I'm using or app or platform or what it is. And now a lot of people are going to start coming over to use it. I mean, like you said, you got thousands of people already supporting Patreon. This is the perfect way to cut out the middleman. Matter of fact, for everybody. For a lot of people coming in who are trying to do that, right? Cut out the major middleman. So then when something like that were to arise, because we just had a previous conversation about it, we don't see the censorship stuff or all this nonsense stopping. I mean, we think, if anything, we see it getting tighter and stricter with more restrictions. So, I mean, that's what we said. So I think, if anything, I'm on the same wavelength you are. This is the main thing. We need backup plan.
I think that there's a lot of different content creators. There's a lot of different types of entrepreneurs. And I think it all works. I just think that there's some of us that's just mavericks. Yeah. And we just don't care. Like, the only thing that we care about is conquering. It's not enough for me to just win. It's like I just want to dominate. Like, I don't want there to even be a question between me and anybody else. And it's some dope. Listen, it's some very, very. I don't even look at myself in comparison to just a black content creator, right? Like, I want to be the greatest content creator in general. I want to be the greatest businessman ever, right? Like, I'm not just looking at people that may have put me in a space. I don't put myself in that space. I compare myself a little bit differently. Like, I want to build something. Listen, my goal is to buy the Pistons. I can't do that just being a YouTuber.
Yeah.
It's much bigger than that.
Hard.
Listen, we started the Lapeef brand. It was Lapeef Let's Talk. It's the Lapeef Network now. It's going to be something a little bit different later. It is going to continue to grow. We are bigger. You only limited by your imagination, and a lot of us like to lean into this box that we put ourselves in, and you actually doing yourself a disservice. And the first thing that I tell people when I get on coaching calls is paint the picture for me. What is it that you want to drive? How many kids do you want to have? Where do you want to live at? What's your lifestyle like? What's your number? What's the number that you need to hit in order to never have to work again? Not saying you would work again, but you would never have to work again at all. That creating that vision gives you something to work towards. And then once you get the vision, you can start breaking it down into milestones. Okay, I know if I need to get to this $10 million number, first I got to make $100,000. When I make that $100,000, I know I need to get to $250,000. And in order to get to that $250,000, it's not going to be about how much I can do. It's going to be about the connections. It's the network. All right, shoot. Now I got to the $250,000. I need to figure out how I can make my money work for me, because it's not about applying for a job anymore. It's about how can I get recruited to become an executive at a company. Oh, okay, cool. I became an executive at a company. I'm getting all of this money. My base pay is this. I negotiated it differently based off of my network giving me the insight that it's not about the base pay, but we work for the bonuses and the equity. Okay, cool. Now, how is it that I can leverage that and move that into a completely different perspective and a direction to where I can leverage that and having my money work for me, because it no longer becomes how much I make a year. Now it's about my net worth. We having the wrong conversations. We're talking about a high value man, right? And we're painting that picture, $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year, or whatever. It's not about that. When you start to look at things from a net worth perspective, if you get into real estate and you're not looking at it from most people, most real estate gurus, and I got to go after this, they talk about cash flow. I need to cash flow the property. How can I cash flow it? Well, if you're cash flowing it, then that means that you're probably going to take out a 30-year mortgage. If you take out a 30-year mortgage because you want to make sure you cover the property taxes, the insurance, and possible incidentals, then that means that you're not making a lot of money over. They are still paying the mortgage. It is beneficial for you to be in real estate. However, you're paying much more over the terms of that loan because you have to pay almost more than double in interest. Let's say you get a $300,000 property. You're going to pay about, at the current interest rates, about $140,000 in service fees by the time you pay off that mortgage. Not considering everything that may go wrong along with it. But if I get a 15-year, not only can I pay it off faster, I can increase my net worth more, and I'm paying less to service the mortgage. When you get to a certain level, you stop caring about cash flow, how much money you make, and you start caring about net worth. It's a completely different conversation, and what I'm telling people is that they need to open up their mind. They need to start being open to the possibility that somebody may have a different blueprint, and stop listening to these rappers because they don't know what they're talking about. There's some people that can give you some game. Rappers don't know nothing at all. I'm richer than your favorite rapper. Flat out. I'm just telling you.
That's big facts, Anton. I think you brought up some good points. And like one thing that I wanted to ask you about is I like how you talked about how it was first called Lapeef Let's Talk, and now it's Lapeef Network. And that just shows, again, it's just solidifying the original things that I was talking about being able to adapt to the dynamic environment. Because sometimes people stay on this linear path and they believe that if they just continue to copy what they've been doing, that copying process is going to continue to bring them success, but it's not, because the environment that you're in is constantly changing. Your market is constantly changing. Everything around you is constantly changing. So in order to build, it's one of the reasons why companies have research and development. And if you do content creation and different things like that, the research and development tools that we have are the analytics to be able to show us how to branch out and improve our market, take our market off of YouTube and put it into those places where we can secure and control it. I totally agree with everything that you've been saying so far, and you're dropping some good game, man. I'm glad
what the interesting
you're helping solidify my point.
This is why I rock with
Black Revelations. Like, for example, I see this guy called Spy V. He in the chat. Can you put up his last? This one right here? Yeah, he said you can always pay off a 30-year mortgage early. No point in burdening yourself with higher monthly payments early on. Duress mindset. Let me tell you why. First of all, most people that get a 30-year mortgage never pay it off early.
No.
You can look it up statistically. Most people never pay it off early. Secondly, if you look at the rates for a 15-year versus a 30-year, and then you extrapolate that out into how long you're going to be paying the mortgage, you're still paying more in interest. You can get a lower interest rate when you do a 15-year than a 30. Right? Like, it's ignorance like this that a lot of people listen to when they have no idea. Now, the question you need to ask yourself is, can I really afford to get into real estate yet? It's not about whether or not you're burdening yourself. Is whether or not you're built to be in real estate in the first place. Most people need to lower how much they're paying to support their lifestyle and figure out how they can increase their net worth. You think differently when you start talking. Most people have no idea what inflation is. Inflation for most people is almost at 7%. You put your money in, you need to get rid of the money. But listen, neither here nor there. I'm not going to talk about it.
That's a whole. No, you need to talk about that, bro. That's a whole. Most people are only investing. Like even if you invest in cryptocurrency, a lot of times I talk about.
I got problems with that too.
The staking, right? You can stake Ethereum to Ethereum 2 at 5%, but like you said, that's even that is still a negative investment because inflation is at 7%. You're making a negative 2% net gain, which is you're losing money on every $1,000 that you're making. You're losing what $200? Like, it's ridiculous.
Inflation for most people is much higher than 7% because it's according to your lifestyle, right? It's much cheaper for me to go out to eat than it is for you to go to the grocery store and shop for yourself. And you listen, that's a whole nother conversation. Do you know that every time I go out to eat, we talking about business? Every time I go out to eat, I take a client out with me. That's literally meals and entertainment. Whole nother conversation. They're not ready for that. Did you know
that's opportunity cost right there.
Yeah, did you know that inflation on the meats that you eat is up over 19%? I'm not going to get into it. Listen, fellas, I appreciate what y'all doing. Y'all absolutely awesome. I don't want to go down the rabbit hole. I rock with y'all, fam.
No, we rock with you too, man. No, this is why I fuck with your channel, man, because you actually, I mean, even this is the concept you just laid out for everyone. Literally, just to break it down for y'all, working backwards. That's literally all he broke down. Like, where do you want to be? Then work backwards to be able to get there. Some of y'all, when you start figuring that out, you start figuring out things that you end up missing and all these other circumstances around you that you need. And I don't see this conversation being had a lot, except for on your channel. I've seen a couple of smaller channels, but you definitely come at it with the experience. So, no, I appreciate you coming out here and talking more about this, Anton. Real talk. And if you end up going into it on your channel, I'll definitely be watching on that.
All right, yeah. Most of the time, these are conversations that I have in my mastermind sessions on my Patreon and stuff like that. So,
hey man, if y'all fuck with what he just said right now, y'all saw that whole little bit. That was just a taste, man. Go check out the Patreon, man.
Come holler at me, man. Listen, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I always try to support content creators. I always try to show love. So I never have a problem camming up. If you need me, bro, just hit me up. I'm gonna be there.
Perfect, man. Thank you so much, Anton.
Hey, great conversation, Anton. Appreciate the insight.
Appreciate it. Christian, welcome to the stream, brother. Hey,
welcome back, man. This is some good game that we learned right here. You know, I had to try and get the business casual on, you know, professionalism going with like everyone going to stream, getting ready for Walmart today. You know, it's an honor.
getting our great value on today, baby.
You
Look
know,
at that. We all
Walmart-
looking nice and
I tell
clean,
y'all.
baby. Except for Don
Walmart
over here.
ain't
All right, so what did we think about what was just said, right? What Anton basically just kind of broke down. What do you guys think of that? Anything to add to it or whatnot? We'll let Poppy start off, and then Christian, and then anyone else who wants to take over, or Primal, if you have anything.
We're going.
Christian, you go ahead, or me,
I'll
or
go. Yeah. 'Cause I figure it's an honor actually just like getting knowledge from him because he's coming from like the whole business world that like most folks just don't even know about like how money works or how finance works. You know what I'm saying? You gotta literally try to beat inflation in order for you to actually just strive on. Otherwise, you're gonna get eaten up for like the next 10, 20, 30 years of your life. So it's very important when you're trying to take knowledge from Anton himself or someone that has an entrepreneurial mindset, and trying to take in your life and just not be afraid to fail. It's just as simple as that.
Yeah, I love him talking about just the take control of your own story mindset.
Right.
Because everything he said was, hey, here's what I'm going to do in response to this. Here's my 5-year plan. Here's my 10-year plan. Here's what I'm going to do. There was no, hey, well, so-and-so did this, so I had to, come back and act this sort of way. It wasn't because somebody else did something to him. There was no victimhood. There was none of that. It was all just, I'm in control of my story. Here's what I'm going to build, and here's how I'm going to do it. That's the mindset that I love to hear. And honestly, I've never really seen a lot of Anton, but I loved everything he was saying. I mean, he was just talking about how we're going to get out and make it happen. That's his shtick, and I love every second of it.
Amen to that.
Big time.
I think the most important thing that Anton showed is that you should never let a barrier stop your progress. And like in my opinion, that's so important because the thing is that there's a lot of weak-minded people. There's a lot of people that get really upset very easily. In today's society, we have just an overpouring of emotional men and emotional women. And at the end of the day, the objective should be the objective, in my opinion. There should be no excuses. You should never deviate from your plan. The only thing that you should ever do is modify your plan. And I think that the way that Anton came in and he spoke with confidence, he didn't go back on anything that he said that he was going to do. I think that that's important, and that's what people should do. And I think another thing that people need to understand is that when it comes to management and when it comes to business, there's different kinds of management and there's different kinds of business styles. Back in the 80s, people told Bill Gates that he was crazy for coming up with DOS. They said that he was crazy. Some of the same things that people are saying in the comments about Antoine, that he was crazy and that it wouldn't work. Then after he, came and took over the programming world with DOS, then Windows came, and they said the same thing about Michael Dell. They said the same thing about Steve Jobs. They said the same thing about Elon Musk. They say the same thing about a lot of people with an entrepreneurial spirit. Even beyond entrepreneurial, activists, people who have a different paradigm, people who see things in a different way. You're always going to have those people who are in the population that have a crystallized understanding and a crystallized intelligence and a linear way of being able to process information without any vision of the future. And the thing that needs to be done is that people who are visionaries and people who see a different future than the path that we're on currently, those like-minded people need to get together and build for that future that they see.
Absolutely. And again, we're going to recap for a lot of you guys who are coming in or missed the last section, right? We're talking about, listen, when you go into this entrepreneurship space, you got to figure out what kind of business person you are. Because even going into business, there's different types of business people, okay? Are you a builder? Do you like to start stuff from the ground up? Do you like to get your fingers dirty and work to the bone? Are you a middleman type of guy? Kind of like me, where it's like, I'm more of a relationship builder. I'll have a product here, but I'd rather bring two different people and then bring them together and we're having work well, right? That's my personality. Or are you an investor type, right? Are you the kind of person that's willing to just put a large stash of cash somewhere and you're perfectly okay because you got the personality to just throw money somewhere else and leave it. Because for a lot of people, that's hard. Investing, throwing money into a startup and not being able to just being able to leave it there. Because I've worked with a lot of investors privately, right? And a lot of times they give you anything more than $10,000. They're coming in and they're trying to manage every nook and cranny of the business, right? Which kills the creative dream because they don't have the mindset to basically just drop the money and just let you do it, right? Let the people handle it. So you gotta, when you go into these fields, you gotta understand what kind of business person am I, right? Am I a builder? Am I a middleman type of person? Am I a relationship person, right? Or am I a kind of person that's really just invest in something and have that come into the returns? But each and every one of these ventures that you decide to go to have their own different hurdles and challenges. But the one thing that you cannot deny is that it takes a certain level of spirit to be able to do this, a certain level of mentality to be able to say, hey, listen, I'm ready to adapt because life's gonna throw anything at me, throw anything my way. I have to be ready to adapt, and those are the kind of guys, the entrepreneurial spirits, they're the ones who are able to adapt to say it doesn't matter what the fuck comes my way. I'm gonna just because you're able to not only lay out a foundation, like he was saying, a 10-year plan, 15-year plan to make it happen, but you're able to have the wherewithal to understand that I gotta have a little bit of wiggle room, right? Because life can throw a spearhead my way, and I'm gonna be able to dodge it or bob and weave somehow, right? So that's where it is. And a lot of people, let's just face it, you're geared too much towards following structures, and you need that structure to survive. That's fine. And you can also thrive within those structures. That people thrive within structures all the time. It's fine. It's just that there's a certain level of people who get to a certain level of positions, like Anton was talking about, where they don't need that anymore.
Honestly,
I hear background noise.
You good?
All right, no, you good. Go ahead.
All right, like something I do want to say that it's completely okay, like Duke says, that you don't have to be super entrepreneurial. I know we've been talking about that a lot, like today, but I do know I've met a lot of people who just want to, go hit their 9 to 5, go home, spend time with their family, or like spend time on their hobbies. And it took me a while to really understand that there are people like that out there who don't really have that ambition or that I don't really call it ambition because it's just that external entrepreneurial drive that makes you want to go outside and kind of make, I guess, money, build something, whatever it is. Because there are people who are completely fine just going out, just make their money, and then their money supports their hobbies, their money supports their lifestyle, their money supports their family. And that's completely okay. And we're not trying to push this whole pressure. Because I know there are some young guys in the audience who feel, especially the guys who are, closely hitting their 30s or maybe in their early 20s, I know that pressure is real. To kind of feel like you should have achieved something before you.
But it's very, especially when we talk about the demands of modern women nowadays, it's very real because a lot of men feel like they have to be that business type, or if they can't hack in the business world, they turn to scamming.
And that's not true, honestly. You can be fine regardless of what your department is. Like you can be fine either or, because I don't want guys in the channel on the chat to get the wrong idea that you don't have to be.
Please don't
complete.
Well, don't scam anybody. Don't be a fresh over here. We don't scam people. All right, we don't do that over here.
But regardless of what path you choose, the main thing is you gotta actually stick with it and actually push. Because if you're gonna be a 9 to 5 dude, you gotta make sure you get up there in the 9 to 5 ladder. Something actually I wanted to talk about is actually becoming an executive in a company. Unfortunately, it's kind of difficult to work your way up to an executive in a company just by just working hard. No, you kind of have to bring something really extra. But one way, because I've talked to a few executives, let me just finish real quick. Because the way I've seen that if you want to really shoot up the ladder and you like 9 to 5, but you do have to take a little bit of risk, is you have to be part of a startup. Yeah. If you're into whatever skill you have, just find a startup that you think is good that you can actually kind of be a part of. So it's kind of like a 9 to 5, but not quite, because there's a little bit of risk involved in that. Be part of that startup. If that startup gets big or huge, perfect. Then you can easily go off that and then go back into your usual 9 to 5, and then you're going to be placed in a higher spot. Because if you're trying to climb the corporate ladder, it's not just a straight line upwards. No, you're going to have to do something like this. You're going to have to go zigzag from one company, get a better position in a different company, and then go back again and go back. And obviously, this is not the same company, but you guys get what I'm saying.
Yeah, right. No, let's hear from all the other guys, right? Primal, I know you've had some executive experience or sales executive experience, so go into that. Because we've got some guys with experiences in executive world, and I kind of want to turn this into a conversation about how guys can actually get to those various spots in life, especially these young guys, because how understand, because this is a relatively new concept in the manosphere. I don't think a lot of guys even talking about the different type of business personalities that exist out there. So I think for a lot of young men who do feel that pressure, who are watching this right now, or women who want to be able to make something out of themselves and be great, so we got to, let's talk about the different steps that they can take to go ahead and climb that ladder. If we go ahead and figure out that they're more tailored to working within structures, how can they go ahead and succeed? And Don touched upon that. Or if they're more apt to be entrepreneurs, how can they go ahead and succeed? So, Primo, you've had some experience in the executive world, or you currently are. Go ahead and break that down, what the kind of dynamic is. Let me get the super chat out of the way real quick. Mr. John, shout out to you. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Nothing works unless you do. Absolutely, bro. The second rule, or was it first law? No, it was the second, third law. All right. Every action has an equal opposite reaction, people. All right, but you gotta basically act on it to get a reaction. So if you're looking to be successful, you need to basically take action. Action is the big thing. You mix 100% of the shots you don't take. CJLJ, welcome back. Listen, you've been missing. We were looking for you for a minute, girl. Anton's points were great for beginning conversations about financial literacy and economic growth. However, solution must be tailored towards the individual. Not sure turning 30-year mortgage versus 15 is ignorant. No, I see his points of where he's talking from, because where he's coming at it from, what that gentleman said, Spy D, that's something I would say, right? As a banker, a former banker, that's something I would say to try to get you to buy the loan. Oh no, just stick over here. You'll save money over time. Sure. No. The way you really want to do it is save is like literally, man. Listen. I see where you're coming from, CDOJ, and that could be another conversation for next week, Monday's show. But you gotta understand, when you have all these different forces working against you, fees, and it even depends on the type of rates that you go with. Because some of these rates, you gotta know if it's fixed or if it's variable. If it's variable, now you gotta pay way closer attention to what's going on, right? And not even talking about like even lines of credit that are backed by your houses too, because at the tail end, when I left the banking world, Trump was raising the rates on those home equity line of credits, and those were actually getting harder and harder to sell. Which is, for those of you guys don't know, those HELOC loans are when you take out a loan against the equity in your house. And I would literally, bro, my department, we were slinging them bitches like hotcakes, right? And then Trump threatened to fucking raise the rates, and then people stopped coming in, and the rates did go up a couple percentage points, but it literally just tanked our whole market there. So people weren't coming in and take out these HELOCs. But all these things they definitely apply, and I think that yes, it's right for these beginning conversations, but we also need to be having more of these conversations. So when guys are looking to go into business of finance and just business in general, you guys have these different worldviews to be able to help you guys, not this weird kind of mentality where you just think you're going to be an entrepreneur or do this and you're going to find success because you're one step closer to failure, which isn't a bad thing, but you're setting yourself back in the end. So go ahead, Primal.
Yeah, I guess it's a really interesting conversation, and I've had a lot of leadership positions in my lifetime, and I guess a big question is why do you want to lead? That's what you need to ask yourself, is like, if you're going to pursue being in an executive position or a leadership position, you have to ask yourself, is that really what you want? And I feel like a lot of times people will just do it because that's where you can make more money, or that's what you're told what you're supposed to do, or you get the title, or whatever. There's all these other reasons that people will pursue these next step in managerial and executive thing because they think that's what they're supposed to do. But that's actually how we get a lot of really poor executives and poor leaders, is people just climb the ladder simply to climb the ladder. They don't actually feel passionate about leading people and moving towards a vision. So that's, I guess my take on it is, to be a good leader, you need to truly believe in what you're leading, and you need to have that vision, and you need to help drive people there. And also, you need to be able to assess, are you that person? Because if you're not, that's okay. Find your role. Like, what do great coaches on great teams do? They find the players, and they put them in the right positions. Like, you can have an all-star athlete, whatever, but if you put him in the wrong position or her in the wrong position to play the game, then your team isn't going to do so well, right? So you have to be able to...
It's like Antonio Brown, right? Then do so well, then linked up back with Brady in Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Another thing is that that example that Primal just used is interesting because, like, in these spaces, for whatever reason, it seems like the only movie that people have ever watched is Matrix. So they go to these Matrix analogies as far as red pill and blue pill and all of this different kind of stuff. But he brought up the good analogy of a coach, and you got to ask yourself in the situation of the Nebuchadnezzar, who was the coach? Because it was Morpheus who put together all of the people.
Yes.
Now, another thing that the Matrix shows, in my opinion, is that people's understanding of this concept is just completely misconstrued. All right. So when it comes to the Matrix, the reason why all of that happened is that Morpheus undeniably believed it, and even the Oracle said it in the movie. He undeniably believed that Neo was the one, even after Neo got the information where he thought he wasn't the one. And it was his belief in his mission that allowed him to go as far as they did. Now, the Matrix also shows another thing that I think goes back into Primal's point, is that ability is not indicative of leadership ability. You may be that all-star person who can just do anything. You can have Neo abilities in the Matrix. You can have Michael Jordan abilities on the NBA court, but your abilities do not dictate your leadership abilities. You have to have someone who can actually lead to utilize those. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Yes.
I 100% agree, man. No, that's well put. Well freaking put. Go ahead, Primo. Seemed like you wanted to add to that.
Yeah, just the best leaders are not the best people at doing the job. You don't have to be the best at a job to be a great leader. You need to be able to, and this is important for everybody, you need to be able to understand what your role within the team is, and then you need to embrace your role and play it. Yeah, maybe you didn't want to be the guard. You didn't want to be the offensive tackle. But damn it, you were really good at it, and the coach put you there, and then your team went to the Super Bowl and you won, right? So is that better, or is it better to be the quarterback on the team that didn't get anywhere?
Absolutely. No, it all becomes down to you being willing to be a team player. That's all it is, man. Understanding your role and learning how to play that role. So, for instance, I see this all the time in football, right? Even when I played, there's certain people who they think they were best fit for quarterback, but it's like, nah, dude, you strong as hell. You need to be right there on the linebacker position, bro, because you strong and fast. Right? So if that person would have been, first of all, I'm willing to get the message and say, nah, I want to play the position I want to play. I could be a quarterback. I could, right? Well, you also got to be able to listen because the captain of the team, the coach, the person who's putting everything together sees something in you that you don't necessarily see in yourself. So they're saying, hey, you can do better in this position. And if you're willing to listen and accept the change, right, be able to adapt, knowing that life, it's not going to be always going to be a straight arrow, but I'm willing to adapt to play a position. You realize that, oh shit, you may make all-state linebacker. You never know. You might be the most successful at that position, but you never know if you didn't try, if you didn't even take the time to listen. And that's the thing. You got to be able to be willing to be a team player when it comes to this stuff too, as well. So now going into it, right? Because let's dive into it more. So we talked about guys being in the executive, right? Being able to move up in the world, right? And we know a lot of people right now, they're employees and they're trying to figure out, okay, well, how can I be this high value executive, man? Because it seems like, first of all, y'all saying it's hard for me to get up there and I don't know how to get it. So how can I, right? And Primal brought up a really good point. And one of the best ways to do it is a lateral movement. Jumping from one company and laterally moving up to a different position or a slightly higher position in another company, right? But another method that he didn't mention, but it's absolutely important, and we talk about this all the time in this channel, is people skills. You ever notice where like a company can hire a new person on board, right? And that person can instantly just rise through the ranks like that, right? Because that person understands how to build relationship with the right people, and a lot of times it's not about how hard you work. It's about who you know in the right kind of palms you can grease, right? That's what it is. So not in like a corrupt, weird way. In a way, it does kind of look like that. But the strongest relationships, if you come in, or the person who knows how to build strong relationships, they'll move up in the ranks faster because that's what it is. You're in the business of people. If executive team, right? I know people where they got pulled up to work in one of these executives training programs, right? Where they move you up and then they train you so they can put you a higher level in the company, right? And you got to apply to be in these certain level positions. But sometimes these guys come in and handpick certain people. right? And they're hampering certain people either based on the relationship, past relationships, or how well that person fits in with that particular group or what they want, right? So you got to be able to understand that being able to build people skills and relationship skills to be able to work with people, that's an invaluable skill that's going to help you move up to his rank, especially if you're coming in and trying to be that executive type of person. Primal or Christian or Don, anything to add to that?
I could say this, with just like with school and like work, because I know work is like a bunch of gray in between. Where school is basically teaching you if you go like straight route, if you like have all these A's, B's, and C's or whatever level it is, it's basically going to dictate your success in the long term. In the real world, it doesn't always work that much. So this is why it's always very important that you embrace as much failure as you can, and always try to work in communication every single time, so that you'll be able to try and develop like every single skill that you can, so that you'll be able to just like whatever the real world goes in, whether you want to be in an executive position or whether you want to be in like an entrepreneur position. And also you want to take note of the politics as well when it comes to either school or work. Also, you have to understand the mindset of the company. You got to understand the mindsets of the CEOs if you want to try and ascend to a certain level of that company, if you choose to ascend a certain level. But if you're dealing with like a CEO that's going to definitely treat you like shit over a number of years, it just ain't worth being there. Or if you're in like a school position where I was, where you have like some professors come by and they willing to help you, but they don't have that much assistance to actually try to help you get by, and they actually just make some couple mistakes, but they never really wanted you there, then why fucking be there, right? Makes no damn sense. So you have to try and find like what works for you. You have to try and develop yourself and try and develop as much tools in your niche as possible in order to try and elevate to a life that you want to have at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely facts. There was another question that I had based on what you said that it ties closely to what Primal says, but we'll touch upon that after the super chat real quick. AN, thank you for the $5 super chat. Oh, this is a good one. No, we're not giving actual investment advice here, okay? But I want to be able to get drop some knowledge over here so you can take with you. But AN, I appreciate the super chat. Thank you so much. Late to the live. Can you give financial advice for non-entrepreneurs to keep? I have career plans for the military and a high school educator. I'm gonna give you this. The best advice I can give you right now, financially speaking, that any one of you guys who are non-entrepreneurs that need to take right now is cash flow. Learn how to manage your cash flow, baby. Understand how your money comes in and understand how your money comes out. Once you understand how to control that, once you get a good grasp of how your money flows in, right, the different sources, whether it's your full-time job, part-time job, side gig, whatever it is, right, understand where it's coming from, to understand your outflow, all right, because when you get this basic concept, it's actually going to be the one concept you will take towards business, and it's going to save your life in business a lot, because cash flow, when it comes to business, is key, right? And here's the thing. Think about it like this, and I said this in the last stream. Your cash flow is like your business or your life, right? Is like your engine, right? You're moving through, right? Your personal life, you got to pay your bills and whatnot. You got to go work. And the money that you get is kind of like the fuel for that engine, all right? If the fuel stops going in, guess what? Everything seizes up, everything locks up, and you're dead in the fucking water, right? If we're looking at businesses absolutely have to rely on cash flow. There's some businesses right now that are startups and they're running on debt. They got no freaking debt whatsoever. But as long as they got that venture capital money flowing through, or they got that investment money flowing through, they can keep that business alive and running for virtually forever as long as the money keeps pouring in. So these businesses are going to be successful, especially in this new age. You got to understand the concept of cash flow from a personal level. You have to beat that down to a family level, to a business level. That's the one advice I would say would save your life. It's definitely saved my life. Go ahead. Anyone else that want to answer this question?
I can speak on the military piece a little bit, because I've lived that life, and I'm not sure if you're just looking to start, if you've been where you are along that journey, but the military is an excellent opportunity to minimize your expenses for your living expenses. So you should be taking every advantage of that you can. You should be able to take that money that they give you to pay for your house and food and all the other things that come with that, and you should be able to invest that into proper places. So take that very good opportunity they're giving you to absolutely minimize your living expenses and to use that as a vehicle to drive your future forward. That would be my advice to you.
This is my last point because I got to hop off in a little bit. But I think the best thing that's helped me financially is to actually track, like what you said, Duke, your income. Whether you have a statement, a bank statement, I know some people avoid looking at their bank statements or something like that. Always make sure you know how much you're spending and how much you're getting in. because I think that's probably the most basic advice I could probably give anybody. Because once you start to know how much you're spending, you can start knowing where you can cut and how you can save. Personally, I just think it's better to always invest than save, whether it's in a company, stocks, yourself, whatever. But at least knowing how much that's coming in versus how much is going out will at least help you make those decisions. And I think that's kind of what helped me a lot. Going back to the point about people skills, I do think that people skills aren't going to compensate for skill. If you don't have the skill to be in a position, doesn't matter how charismatic you are, you're not going to get that position. But if you do have the skills to be in that position, I do think that if you learn to be a little bit more charismatic, to know the right people, to know the right connections, that will give you a little bit of an extra boost. And I actually have this book behind me. This is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I've read this maybe 6 times right now. I just still have these little things on it for important parts. I do refer back to every now and then. If you guys can get that book and actually go through it, it really gives you a lot of information how to kind of be a little bit more charismatic as a male or female. So that's kind of my last 2 cents on that.
Here's why I push back, because I've had some people who are mad charismatic as hell, but they're terrible leaders, and they've been in positions of corporate power for a while. I know a lot of that, and I think
it's going to end.
And they're not necessarily. If the relationship's great that they have, a lot of times these guys will back them up no matter what. If you got them, you got them. That's what it is. Here's the thing: once you get tight with these guys, then you get personal. Then you get with their families. A lot of secrets get out. That and you just locked in. Listen, man, I've been in these positions. I know. So sometimes when you're in there, you're locked in there. And that's why a lot of times these middle management or upper management guys, they stagnate. They get into a period of stagnation because they know ain't shit gonna happen to them. But that's most corporate organizations. That's most corporate organizations.
If you're in a corrupt organization, period, you're not going to go far. If you're not part of the people who are making the rules and making the laws.
Not only that. See, so even my brother though, before he got his job, when he was working with Ford, right?
Yeah.
As soon as he was able to graduate, it was tough trying to find a job to lock down. But thank goodness he had his frat, because his frat was able to connect him to that particular position. So again, it's part of the whole relationship kind of dynamic.
Oh yeah.
It was because, and even guys who graduated around in his same class, School of Business, right? The same class, people who graduated with him couldn't even find jobs. They were asking him yo, can you hook me up? I need help. He's like, yo, they just I barely got my foot in the door in this motherfucker. I can't help you, but that's it. So when you come down to it, this whole merit-based thing, we got to open the eyes for a lot of you youngsters out there too as well, or guys who are going into the corporate world or deciding to thinking about making a bones in the corporate world. You got to realize how important them business relationships are. All right, listen, you could be the worst person in the world, but if you know how to move people around you very well, people will give you a lot more leeway. So I agree with what you're saying, Don. It's just
if you're in a corrupt environment, then there's
most corporate environments are pretty corrupt. But no, I feel what you're saying, man. It's absolutely right. Absolutely right. You guys got to learn the game of people. There's a reason why we preach this stuff, right? People skills, learning people is very, very important, because it doesn't matter what else. If you were to lose everything today, if you understand how to talk to people, to move people around you, you'll have whatever you have back tomorrow. It's just how it is. Poppy, you want to add to it? Hey, Don, if you got to head out, you got to head out, bro.
Yeah, I'm bouncing right now. No problem. I'll be on next time. Peace.
I'm loving the stream.
Y'all still want to react to that video? Because I wanted to. Anton kind of came up and he kind of broke it down. So we can still react to it. Let me know in the chat if you guys want to react to that live video. Put a 1 if it's a yes, you want to react to the video. Put a 2 if you don't really want to, and we can finish out and close out. But let me know if you want to react to the live stream of Anton Daniels. You guys want to see what Kevin Samuel said, and then we can kind of go off of that tangent. Let me know. Give me a 1 in the comment section if you guys want us to do that. Otherwise, we're going to continue with this and then kind of cut the stream off. But go ahead.
Yeah, I'm loving the stream today because it's about business, and a lot of people need to hear it. You're not teaching a business class, but at least giving you a small insight what's going on, what happened to them boys at La Beef Net, which is pretty messed up. They love the channel. I don't know how many followers they got, but I'm pretty sure they got a pretty strong following.
They were getting close to 100,000.
That's a lot of people just to lose it. But I heard they got it back. Is that true?
Yep.
They got the channel back?
I think that's what Anton said when he came up here.
Well, that's good.
No, yeah, no.
Okay. I wasn't 100% sure. I just heard it. I don't know if it was true or not.
It looks like there's an overwhelming interest in reviewing that live stream.
God
dude.
damn! Oh shit! All right, hey, the set is.
It's gonna be fun.
Hey,
Yeah, all right,
y'all go ahead and review it. I gotta hop though. My dogs are getting all rowdy, so I'm gonna take them out. But I'll catch up with you later.
Man, if you gotta hop back on. Primal, we'll see you. We'll see you.
Appreciate
brother. Thank
y'all.
you so
Appreciate
much.
you. I'll catch you all a little bit later.
Primal.
All right. Hey, let's go ahead and get to this. Hey, we'll give you guys what you want. Let's go ahead and react to this, okay? So, because this stream right here, this is where I had some disagreements with Kevin Samuels. But you know, it's fair. We can. I think we can have. Hang on one second. I think we have disagreements here in this manosphere. I think it's what keeps us strong. Be able to have different opinions here and there, right? And here's where we had our disagreements, but we'll pay attention to what was said, so you guys can kind of give a little context of what we were talking about between the different mentalities between guys like Anton Daniels, and then we talk about lead attorney and Kevin Samuels. So let me see if I can scroll to the piece where Kevin Samuels, or just before Kevin Samuels pops on. All right, here we go. And then let me know if the audio is good, people.
See, student says, tweet sent in support of Latinos at work.
Dude, can you turn up a bit?
LA. Oh, all right, look who we got in the
Yeah.
back. We got the Godfather himself.
Can you hear it?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
All right, perfect.
Kevin Samuels, how are you doing, Kev?
I am well.
What's going on, huh?
Going on, Kev.
Hey, came in right at the time I wanted it. I mean, this may sting a little bit.
Now, to be fair, he did say before he delivered the news, this may sting a little bit. All right, so let's just keep that in mind. Let me go ahead and I can probably speed this up a little bit too, so we can. Oh no, that's slowing it down.
Copyright strikes.
Right, get them copyrights, right?
Hey, lead attorney wouldn't do that. I don't think he cares.
I know lead attorney's cool, man. He ain't gonna do that. But if he does, hey, bro, we have to get on you, lead. We're gonna get on you with some fresh and fit nonsense, brother.
Start looking at black content on YouTube. From the very first conversation Anthony Brian Logan, and man had, I came in the door already understanding I had existed and how to use it from a Google standpoint, from an advertising and marketing standpoint, from a building campaign standpoint, SEM, SEO, pay-per-click, banner advertising. And here's the real spill. Most content creators in black male YouTube, have no idea how this platform works. And I've been saying this for the last 3 years. Because the barrier to entry, especially since live streaming, which I do obviously, has made it to where people don't have to learn the platform. Most people don't even know what analytics, if I say analytics, most people are like, what's that? And we revel in our fucking ignorance. We think it's right there, I agree with Kevin Samuels. A lot of people who come into this space, especially running these things, these live streams, it's pretty difficult, right? I mean, difficult but easy, right? Because anyone can just get on here and you talk, right? But it's also difficult because you also got to put on a show too as well. I know so many struggle YouTubers out here right now that have been around for 3+, 4+ years, right? And they're live streaming, but they're not growing anywhere because they're not reading their analytics like Kevin Samuels is talking about here and using that as an actual useful tool for growth, right? So this is what he means. So I agree with what he's saying here. But as we continue on, there's some disagreements that'll pop up. But to preface that, he did say it was going to sting a little bit. So let's continue. a badge
Can
of honor.
I take them real quick, Duke?
Because the very things we don't know, terms of
Can y'all hear it?
Yeah, we can hear it. You mind if I chime in real quick? I wanted to actually say something about that part.
Yeah.
Turn on the
Go ahead.
Now, here's my
Go
thing,
ahead,
right?
Go ahead, Black.
One thing that kind of irks me is when people just make the announcement, most people don't, all right? There's no evidence behind that comment that Kevin Samuels made. For him to make the assertion that, quote, most people don't. Everybody is aware of at the least cancel culture or accountability culture, depending on what side of the spectrum you're on. So everybody knows that there's certain things that you can and can't say. Now, my issue is that we're always doing all of this finger pointing. You know, it's so easy for quote us to get on here and live stream, and most of quote us don't know anything, right? Okay, Newsmax, which is a conservative news outlet, they were demonetized at one point. There was a conservative dude named No More News. I think his name was Adam Green. He was completely removed. There was also InfoWars, Roger Stone and Alex Jones. They were removed. And
Alex
also
Jones got nuked off of the internet. They took him off of everything.
Completely.
He got nuked completely. They even removed him from PayPal. And the Epoch Times, who is a successful conservative media outlet, their YouTube channel is currently demonetized. So my thing is I get it and I understand why people, you know, say certain things. But the thing is if you're going to come in and you're going to come in and give an instructional, don't talk down to everybody as if everybody's not at your level, because there's other people who can always be used as an example to completely debunk any of that kind of nonsense. So my thing is if you're going to go into this conversation, you should go into it and say, well, here's the things that people can do to protect their platform versus pointing their fingers at everybody and just act like you're teaching a school of kindergartners, because he's not.
Absolutely, and that's the thing, because that's another thing with Kevin Samuels. Listen, it's the generalization piece, right? Where it's like, okay, when you say, hey, most content creators don't know this stuff, it's like, okay, well, you can't definitively know that, but I do understand where you're coming from, because I do know people who are in this space that don't really even understand how to use the analytics to their benefit. Not saying they can't learn, but they're not using it to their benefit. But I do see his point on that. No, good shit. But let me welcome Bernie up.
Bernie,
Hi, Bernie.
What's good, Bernie? Hey, welcome to the stream, brother. Hey, guys, I know you just started the channel, so I know we're going to plug you right in here, brother. But, hey, shout out to you. Thank you for taking a great value memo here. All right. Listen, even Don forgot that. So we're all great value in this motherfucker right here. All right. We got the suit too.
Walmart, baby.
We
We're
big
going.
Walmart.
Yeah.
Big Walmart brand over here, baby. Hey, we got the group of not high value, I'm sorry, a group of great value males together, all in one spot. Right here, we go ahead and criticize some content.
Hey, yo, in Bloodline, he's a troll. He didn't even come up today.
If you guys pay attention to the video, I'm using the same suit as Kevin Samuels.
So let's go ahead and continue. Hold up. Somebody just put a comment in here. Kristen Joseph, I like your comment. Wow, people disagreeing with Lord and Savior Samuels. Hey, listen. Although we respectfully, let me get my mug back in here. Hold the French toast door. All right, listen. Although we support Kevin Samuels and certain things that he says and does, listen. We ain't no monolith over here. Ain't no monolith over here. Listen, I got my disagreements. I'm going to make sure they're going to be known. We're going to be respectful about it, but I make sure it's going to be known. But I think that also adds diversity into this space, because you are right. When you see in this manosphere space, as people kind of tone the line and everyone just kind of, saying the same thing or being in one group, right? We don't typically like to do that. Listen, I've always been a person that speak my mind, and, it's one of those things where if there's some disagreements out there, it just has to be mentioned so people can get another side to it, right? And I think that's
all right,
very
guys. I got to
important.
try and I got to dip on now. Family call me. All right, you guys.
I do think. Anyways, so it's one of those things where we gotta have those conversations. Why? Even if we're right or wrong, we gotta come to these conclusions, and that's pretty much what we're having here. So not every channel in this manosphere space follows Lord Kevin Samuels as a savior, but I do know motherfuckers out here that call him Saint Kevin. You know what I'm talking about. I think that's pretty beta if you ask me, dog. No, listen. Ain't nobody a
Weird. It's very weird.
It's so weird. The most cringiest thing I've ever seen, bro. I was watching that live when he said, I'm like, nigga, what did you say? Saying what, nigga? Hey, I don't even think he will call himself that. What you talking about, dog? So let's go ahead and keep playing.
Camera or a smartphone and talk to an audience. We
we treat this like it's a community watering hole instead of a fucking business that was purchased for a real reason. And then shit like this comes along. Because what happens is the things that have happened around YouTube and other sectors find themselves over here. And it's like, we're all like, what the hell's going on? Well, this is happening. And one of the biggest gaps, I think the biggest opportunity, is for people to sit down and really ask, do I understand the platform? Not how to make and not content, not the audience, the platform. Shout out to Alpha Male Strategies. When he first came through, he took a very firm look at analytics and understood this. You know, if I start throwing out terms like click-through rates, engagement, and demographics, and this and that, those are the details. So, like, and I'm going to guess when the video got you guys taken down. Do you guys think it was the computer system, the algorithm that caught it, or do you think somebody who just reported it?
I think it was somebody that reported it. Yeah, I think so.
That's the only way it can happen. And when we talk about it, like the algorithm and YouTube is all knowing. YouTube doesn't have enough people to watch the billions of hours of content. So people came along and in denial, they did something that they knew was going to get, knew that would put your channel in jeopardy. And was the video taken down or was it made private?
The whole channel was taken down.
No. The video in question, where they came and did.
Just that part was edited.
I would say that behind the scenes as content creators, the things we need to start talking about, because this is always one of my pet peeves, and I just keep my mouth shut. I really don't understand why people treat YouTube like it's just what they want it to be. It's not that. This is a multi-billion-dollar platform. It's the most. If you took off, you made YouTube standalone, it would be more valuable than Comcast, Disney, or Netflix. And we really need to learn this shit. Because, you know, I think I heard you mention about building your own platform. You know, $500,000, don't cut it. I mean, people are building platforms left and right, and, you know, and we're not, and the thing is, it will be better to just learn the system. Learn the matrix and deal with the matrix as it is.
Kevin!
Because
Kevin! The person you're talking to is not a system type of guy. Kevin, this is where my disagreement came in. Lord, when I was hearing this, I'm like, Kevin! I was screaming through the goddamn rooftops because I'm like, Kevin Samuels, you are a system-based guy. All right, you're an executive-based individual. You thrive in in systems, right? You build well in systems. You're talking to a guy who doesn't necessarily come from that world. He's more of a risk taker. He's more of an entrepreneur. So this dude, what are you talking about, $500,000? Okay, that's nothing for him. He's got cash to burn. He's going to be able to do that anyways, right? It's all about the vision and the heart at the end of the day, right? And this man, he not only saying this here, but Black, you also touched upon this too, about the mentality and the spirit. That's what we're seeing. So Kevin Samuels, I have to respectfully disagree, bro, because learning a platform, I understand where you're coming from, but then again, what are we learning? We're learning terms and conditions that could change like that? That makes no sense. Well, the brother just got his channel. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, well, you guys just heard in real time your red pill god say to work within the matrix, word for word. I mean, word for word, right? You red pill. The purpose of the red pill, if you believe in that whole ideology, is not to work within the matrix. The red pill is to understand that a matrix exists and then to destroy it. So again, here's these conflicting messages.
But he never claimed to be red pill, though.
No,
that's what I heard.
You don't have to claim to be red pill, but like this space, if you're going to be teaching stuff and, you know, being a thought leader in the space, there's a red pill element to it. So you can't, at some point, we got to get away from because I didn't call myself an alpha male, I didn't call myself a beta male, doesn't mean I ascribe to those ideologies, but you talk about it. So, I mean, where does that stand? So you know what I'm saying? So even if he doesn't physically claim it or hasn't verbally spoken it, he's still red pill as a motherfucker.
Here, check this out. Check this out, Duke. If you add the sum of all of the people subscribed to each of these channels who are in this live stream currently, you got Kevin Samuels, which is what, about 1.5 million, and
1.
we have Lapeef, 1.3. Okay, so we got Lapeef, which is 1.3. or I'm sorry, we got Kevin Samuels, which is 1.3. Then we got Lapeef, which is close to 100. You said right, and then we have lead attorney, which is over 100,000. That's almost the same amount of people in a small borough in New York City. So you mean to tell me that there's nothing that could have been done immediately right there in order to build something concurrent to what was going on? That's the amount of people in a small borough in one of the largest cities in the United States.
Absolutely. And one of the other things that I disagree with, which was the first thing that he brought up, right? He said $500,000. That's not going to cut it. Dude, the thing is that this is where another point of disagreement, Kevin. Like, I've built apps for less money than that. You know how easy it is to, like, basically network a bunch of contractors and have them work on different pieces, right? I have the ultimate vision and the goal of how I want that program to work. So I'm going to, with that ultimate knowledge, I have the ability to basically delegate what I want to certain individuals that can get the particular work done. Comes down to the entrepreneurship mindset and being able to have that leadership mindset to be able to guide people to certain aspects, right? So you can get the money that at the point. I'm sorry, there's like a background noise coming up. Bernie, that's you. But it's one of those things where the money shouldn't even be an issue, because clearly, and he also said that he has the networks and he has the ability to basically put that together. So right now, what I'm seeing is someone who has the entrepreneurship spirit and wants to go ahead and make something happen and move forward. Another one that's basically saying, hey, listen, it's not so bad here under this structure. You just got to learn the rules and play the game. You'll be fine. I'm not saying they're both wrong, right? I'm not saying either one of them's wrong. That's not what I'm saying here. I'm saying that they both come from different worlds, and I see his perspective, Kevin Samuels, and I see what you're trying to like. I know how you preface this, and you said it's going to sting in the way it does, but you got to understand that you're not speaking this man's language. All right, you are an executive. You learn under terms and conditions, and you thrive under rules. This man doesn't. He just got his channel banned, man, and he's feeling something. So it's a little bit of a different dynamic, if anything else, if you ask me.
Right, absolutely, dude. And the thing is, when it there's a little bit of echo. I'm not sure what that's.
I'm gonna mute myself here. Let me just make sure. But go ahead.
All I was gonna say was that it's coming, but I only have one mic. You know what? I'm gonna drop out and come back in.
All right, do you think? We'll keep playing. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Bernie. Go ahead, Bernie.
I want to say that on the Matrix, it was written by director, producers. They were trying to best people.
Yeah, no, that's true. I always say that the real red pill is realizing that some of these dudes that are teaching you about the red pill are actually not red pill. It's like popping the pill and realizing, oh shit, my master's a fraud. Oh man, it's like, because you see this with these fresh and fit guys, man, the Donnie Boys of the world, right? And you see, because some of them, like we talked about finance a little bit, right? We didn't go well in depth, but it seems like that's a topic y'all really want to get into, so we can have a different conversation about that. But we see these guys that talk about crypto, they talk about making money and all that stuff like that, and you're not realizing the risk that comes in those certain aspects too as well, man. Y'all don't understand the crypto world like y'all think you do, and these dudes who are selling you this stuff, they don't understand the crypto world like they think they do. It's just about selling you things, man. So that's the thing. But I'm getting back to it. Yeah, the Matrix is realizing that, hey, man, some of the people that are telling me some of this shit, they probably capping. That's what it is. Like, they probably capping. Go ahead, Black.
Can you guys hear me now?
All good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, what I was gonna say was that when it comes to that whole work within the system thing, it like what I just don't understand. Like, in my opinion, as someone who's older and already established, if working within the system is what your specialty is, then in my opinion, that's where you should lend your advice. If somebody is doing something that's completely different to your program or how you built your success, you should never cut them down. Like, Kevin Samuels always talks about history. Like, one thing that Kevin Samuels does is he likes to talk about all of these great things that people in America did. You know, he talks about how this country was built and this, that, and the other, right? Well, if I'm looking at Anton Daniels, what I'm looking at is somebody who would make money economy after the Prohibition era. Someone who was running alcohol before the United States saw a value for alcohol and then made it legal, or someone who, during these times currently selling weed and the government didn't see any value in marijuana until currently, and now marijuana is a multi-million-dollar business. We live in a environment that constantly changes. There's constantly new needs. There's constantly new desires. And for someone to just assume that someone needs to follow the same business model as them, in my opinion, is controlling. It's not really using a lot of vision, and it's naive.
Absolutely. No, that's factual, man. Not everyone is built the same, man. Kevin, like you're great under structures, and that's fine. And I think if you can come out with things that can help other people who are more executive minded, or more leaning towards the structures, right? Guys who don't mind being a 9 to 5. If you come out with something teaching them how to be successful within that niche, that's fine. But we can't conflate entrepreneurship and this concept of high value, and then all of a sudden say, okay, well, let's work in the system, because a lot of people wouldn't understand how to rise within those systems. The systems aren't designed for that, right? Because people who are smart enough to rise with them, they understand that they come outside of the system to be able to come back in at a different spot. That's how it is. You're never going to be able to be picked up within the system unless you have those particular skills. Kevin has those particular skills, and some of these other guys have those particular skills. However, some of these younger guys who are coming up and they're looking at this, okay, they're hearing Kevin Samuels basically say, hey, listen, work within the system, learn the terms and conditions, and you're going to be fine. But then we all know that YouTube, you almost have to be like, in a way, controversial for you to get views funneled their way, right? To get the algorithm gods to shine upon you the goddamn views that you're looking for. So you got to take a little bit more risk as a younger platform. This is where I would say, Kevin Samuels, your advice kind of doesn't work there, because you're taking the play it the safe route and learn the rules and follow it. But when you're a smaller channel, it doesn't work out that way, because you need the views. You need to be controversial. For Exhibit A, we look at it in our channel. When we started looking at some of our older videos and how we were talking to now, after we got all the sponsorships and everything, hey, listen, money talks. I'm going to tell you that right now. If you notice, my language has been cleaned up a little bit. I still curse. I still get me wrong. But I had to clean it up a little bit. You see what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where you have to be willing to adapt with those particular structures. Now, would I prefer where I would come into a situation where I can work and do whatever I want, say whatever I want, and not have the consequences or deal with whatever the hell it is? That's fine. That's perfect. But I understand that. But these younger YouTubers, especially working within the structure, you have to be controversial. So that particular advice just does not work here. You can do that because you have the skill set to work within the system, but you better be teaching all these other young cats how to be able to do that. And I don't see a lot of that here. What I do see is a lot of people who are doing business, kind of like the Anton Daniels of the world, say, hey, listen, I'm going to just barehead my way through this, and then I'll ask for forgiveness later, right? Well, I'll go ahead and run through this, and I'll ask for forgiveness later, and that's what it is. So it's worth for him, because obviously he's been successful, and he's able to build a Patreon following that's pretty crazy. So it's one of those things where what he's saying versus what Anton's doing, two completely different worlds. So I have to respectfully disagree. Go ahead.
Right. No, my bad. I was having a little bit of a delay. But my question, if I was Anton, what I would have asked Kevin Samuels right at that moment is because, see, here's my thing, right? A lot of these are moments of growth. And my thing is, it doesn't matter if someone is a Goliath, if they have 1.3 million subscribers and you only have the amount that you have. If you have a dream, then you believe in that dream the same way you believe in your heartbeat. And I don't care who you are or what you have. If you're questioning me, I'm going to tell you exactly why I'm right. And my question that I would have hammered Kevin Samuels with right at that very moment is, what made you change your paradigm from candles, cologne, and male advice to call-ins with women? See, you weren't working within the manosphere model, and then you changed it to a call-in model. So what made you change? And so you changed, and you were able to be flexible. What's the issue with me changing and me being able to be flexible?
That is, hey, hold on. Let me get our bugs back in here for a second. That's a fantastic point, right? Because Kevin Samuels, even within the system, he also exudes some of those elements that Anton Daniels we were just talking about, the ability to adapt. So it's like, bruh, you had to adapt. You had to change your platform from the colognes and the whole, freshening up and, making sure you got the, hold on, I'm ruining my pocket square. But, the whole cologne of the day and all these different things, right? You had to change from that and even doing just strictly male content to be able to switch over to talking with women. And you're able to do that because you're a sales guy, right? And a sales guy, you have to have the ability, and I have that ability, so I'm able to recognize that in you, Kevin. But you have the ability to take package
big, complex, goddamn ideas and in simple, bite-sized talking points for people to basically follow and digest, right? And people who are good at this, the talking point games are going to be absolute kings in marketing, right? The most successful platforms and entrepreneurs are the ones who are able to develop the best talking points. So you're able to do that, and it's able to work for you. However, it's one of those things where it's not going to be like that for a lot of people. So when you're looking for like a lot of people who don't really have that particular skill of putting things together and the talking point and whatnot, you're able to adapt from going what you're able to do from talking to men to be able to talking to women and doing it in a way where it's going to help you get bigger, right? And help you blow up to Kevin Samuels, to what we know you as, the polarizing and lovable figure that we all know today, right? But you had to change. You had to go from safe to controversial. So you took that risk and it paid off. What's the difference between Anton? I don't see the difference. All right, he took a risk. There was failure in it, but if he wants to take another risk to invest in something that's going to be beneficial, what's the deal there? You see what I'm saying? Go ahead, Poppy.
Yo, this is what I think. I think we got. I think we misunderstood because I watched that stream today. I believe he wasn't giving that particular advice to Anton and them. I think he was talking to the
No, he was. It was Anton. It was Anton because before he even started this whole conversation, he said this might sting a little bit.
But he also said this is for all the content creators out there too. You see what I'm saying?
That's but even if he is right, but even if he is talking
that's what I think.
No, I say even if he's talking to all the other content creators, that's even crazier because it goes towards my earlier point about younger content creators needing to be controversial in order to basically get the views, get the eyeballs, right? You got to be able to talk about controversial subjects. You got to be wild for that to be able to work out for you. You see what I'm saying? So even if he is talking to younger creators, this advice isn't going to work for him. Follow the rules and terms and conditions. It's not going to work for him because you follow the rules and terms and conditions. You're not going to get views. You're going to be one of these channels who have been here 8+ years and can barely muster up 3,000 subs or 4,000 subs, however subs you want.
And this is what I'm trying to say. I don't think this black guy from him. He said you got to learn to how to work the system pretty much. You got to know the rules and regulations and the kind of activities that you own right now. Like all of us is in YouTube right now, right? So this is what I understood from it. Like you need to learn. You need to learn how to play the game. That's what I got from him.
Right, and we all got that. We all got that, and that's what I'm saying. He's not wrong. He's not, but that's part of the whole corporate structure that I'm talking about. When you go into a corporate world, it's all about politics, right? So he's coming from that world as an executive playing politics. You got to learn the rules of the game and the environment that you're in. So I understand that world because I play politics. I understand that, right? I wouldn't even be successful if I didn't learn how to play office politics, right? And some of you guys who've been fired from a job out there who've not being able to move up, or you've seen other people come in and get better positions than you have, is because of office politics. There's some people that come into these situations that know how to play those games better than the average guys. That's what it is. And Kevin Samuels knows how to play those politics, utilizing the rules to his advantage. However, go back to your point, Bobby. If he's actually going to be talking about young creators, that advice doesn't work. I would tell you that because it didn't work for us, and we blew up. It took us 4 months to get to where we are, and we're still growing at an exponential rate. So it's one of those things where I didn't take that advice. I had to be controversial as hell to be able to get to where we are, to be able to get further. So that advice didn't work for a small creator coming up. It's not going to work for other small creators coming up right now because I tell you this: you follow the rules, you roll within the platform. You're playing it safe, and that's the riskiest and craziest thing you can ever do is play it safe. It works for some people. It's just not going to work for the rest of them.
Well, here's another example.
Where they are.
Here's another example of what Duke and Don is talking about that completely debunks Kevin Samuels. Kwame Brown had a YouTube channel that had about 30,000 subscribers for a long time, and the content that he talked about, basically conservative talking points, different things like that, it was the same for a very long time. As soon as he started using his social media platforms to address a lot of the people who had issues with him, like Stephen A. Smith, Matt Barnes, and Stack 5, that's when you started to see the explosive growth that Kwame Brown got. I think his account jumped from like 30,000 subscribers to about 400,000 in less than 3 months, and it was because he went outside of his normal paradigm. And the thing is that's that's what Kevin Samuels did as well. Because if you watch his older videos, he did do call-ins, but his content was specifically geared towards men. And then he also did the cologne and the other kind of fashion advice. And when he started moving it into, you know, the whole conversations with women and the high value thing, and he took a lot of elements from other YouTubers, but that's neither here nor there. That's a whole nother conversation for another day. You know what I'm saying? That's when he started to see that explosive growth. You know what I'm saying?
Let me jump in this little comment over here. JR Bugs, y'all really comparing creating a video streaming service to compete with YouTube versus changing your target audience? That's not what people are saying. That's what people are saying at all. This is the conversation about censorship and having something that you own and can nobody take from you, right? It's not about creating a service to compete with YouTube. We already know that's not to compete with YouTube. That's insane. All right, they're long entrenched and they're very well established. So it's not going to work out. They're gonna snap you up and buy you out, or they're just gonna crush you. And whatever unique product you bring to the market, it's done, right? What we're talking about is having something that we can call ours, where it's like a backup. It's not comparing apples to apples because that's not going to work. We're not going to beat YouTube, but it's having something that we own, something that's a backup, something that creators here that have for us, built by us, for y'all to enjoy on pure, unadulterated content. You see what I'm saying? So that's what this is all about. And right now we're in an environment where content creators get shut off like that, and the censorship is ever going crazy. So that's what this conversation is about. When you make a comment like this, it just devalues what the comment is, because it's not that simple. It's not competing with YouTubers to change your target audience. You can change your target audience however many ways you want. First of all, on YouTube, you don't. It's not you choose your target audience by niching. That's what it is. It's not like you can specifically go in, unless you're running ads, you can specifically go in and say, I want my video shown to these particular people. It doesn't work like that on YouTube. You make a video, you post it, right? If you have the right tag in and whatever, it's going to promote your video based off of whoever's more likely to see it. That's what it is. So you can't even target your audience. You're talking about Facebook and another platform. That doesn't work. We're talking about being able to figure out how to skirt the prisons of what you call censorship. That's what this is all about. So taking your target audience, that's not going to help in this case, because you just heard it. Their video got reported by people. That channel got taken down because it was reported. How is changing your target audience going to change that? It ain't, because people are going to be people. People are either going to be trolls, or people are going to be haters, or people are just going to want to see the world burn.
Well,
so you change your target audience if you can, which you can't unless you're running ads. It's still not going to protect you fully from this.
right.
We need a backup plan, but most importantly, all this shit that we've been talking about, hey, we got to build our own, we got to have our own stuff, we got to make it happen. This is just an opportunity to do it. An opportunity to basically say, enough talking. Let's go ahead and get this done. That's all what this conversation is about. Are we going to be them niggas that are going to be just complaining about it and whining about it and say, hey, YouTube is this, and all we got to do is just basically work within the system, everything will be all right? Or are we going to be people say, hey, all right, this happened, let's go ahead and keep it moving?
Well, the way that you deal with that kind of comment and that kind of question is you have to ask, was YouTube originally created to compete with streaming services and network television? Because in my opinion, and actually what the white paper and the facts said, is that YouTube was not created for that. YouTube was also not created to be the #2 search engine. Google competes with itself. YouTube competes with Google as the #2 search engine. None of that is what the purpose of YouTube originally was for. So my question is when people ask, what are you doing today? You have to ask, what is the potential for what you're doing today in the future? Because I don't think that Google bought YouTube for it to ever compete with network television, because at that point in time, streaming services and Netflix and Hulu and Vudu, those things weren't even invented. We had just came with, MP3s like Napster, and they shut Napster down and basically spread the Napster technology to everywhere so that MP3s could be open source and shared to everybody with streaming services. So the thing is that people are always going to ask those kinds of questions because of the fear and because of the failure to understand the different layers that Anton was talking about in spatial recognition. See, people talk about Elon Musk, but Elon Musk is not thinking on a global earthly scale. He's talking about colonizing Mars. He's talking about colonizing the moon. And people who think under such a small spectrum are never going to be able to conceptualize such great ideas.
And so here's the thing. So J Bugs. Oh shit, that's an echo. No, 1 second. That was you, Bernie. My bad. J Bugs, he says, right, I understand, and it's an admirable goal. I guess I'm just confused how this is comparable to what Kevin Samuel has done with his changing his niche. No, how this is comparable is because we're talking about, okay, well, this is a situation where a guy is giving advice. With Kevin Samuel's giving advice to someone who's lost his channel about learning the algorithms, learning the platforms that you're on, right? Understanding the system that you're in, right? Okay, fine. Kevin Samuel was able to understand the system that he was in to be able to say, hey, what I'm doing initially right now with the perfumes and the cologne and talking to guys, it's not bringing the kind of growth that I want. And keep in mind, this is an executive-minded kind of individual, right? And we've made this known earlier in this stream and throughout this entire stream. Kevin Samuel is an executive type, and with executive types, they do great jobs in working and thriving within systems. So he's able to utilize that to be able to become successful on this particular platform. But he was able to change and flip and adapt, right? And that is those elements of changing and adapting within that system. Those are also similar entrepreneurship elements too as well that you recognize, right? The people skills, the elements to be able to do that, right? So that's there, and he's able to adapt that to change his platform for growth. But then we're looking at someone else who's saying, okay, well, I'm doing this and we got shut down because these dumb trolls wanted to go ahead and screw us up. I'm not saying we're going to get rid of this platform, but I need to have something that's mine so nobody's taking my cut. I need to adapt and change. The concept that's common right now is adaptation and change, all right? One person is looking to adapt and change it a different way, and another one's saying, no, just stick to where you have it, and we're just making those comparisons. It's like, hey, you're allowed to do this on a certain, although it's not to the same level, that change element is still there. So why can't he do the exact same thing? It just doesn't make any sense. So I hope that clarifies it. But it's not like we're not please let's not get misconstrued here. No one's disagreeing or Kevin Samuels. I agree, but I think from this context, and we'll play on the video, it just doesn't work with someone like Anton Daniels. We're talking about the relationship factor, the people factor skills, right? The different skill sets. It just doesn't mesh well. Telling someone who's not used to working under a system that they should work under a system and they're gonna thrive well, it doesn't. Think about it. Anton's bigger outside of the platform of YouTube. That's a fucking example in itself. He was just here letting y'all know he's got a sizable Patreon following. He's get for his channel site. He's getting the amount of the kind of monetization that's more than most YouTube channels with bigger channels. That shows you that he has the mindset to think outside of the box, to think outside of the space. And YouTube is just a marketing angle to get all that accomplished. So it's not about all that money and all that stuff like that. It's all about adaptation and the different skill sets. You're seeing here with one person who's taking it outside of that, and you're seeing here another person who's saying, hey, these are the rules. Let's see what we can do in terms of growing. It worked for you, not necessarily saying it's going to work out for Anton. Anton, it works off of the platform outside the rules. For Kevin, it works on platforms with the rules. Different kind of dynamics. The advice has to be tailored better. That's all we're saying.
Yeah, I don't think it's I don't think it's a target audience change. Antoine didn't say anything about wanting to change his audience. What we're talking about is a paradigm shift. Just because you change your paradigm or you change your business model, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're changing your audience. What it means is that you're repackaging or repurposing what you're doing.
But I'm glad that kind of makes sense because I think people when they just come into the conversations, they hear a couple things. Oh, well, you're off base. It's like I get it. So let me go ahead and clarify that for y'all coming in. I appreciate y'all asking the questions. Please ask away. I'm reading the chats too as well. If I see something that makes sense, it makes sense. We'll talk about it. But so you guys can understand the standpoint we're coming from, and we want these young guys to understand the dynamics of different types of business personalities too as well. And we broke that down earlier. JB Bugs. All right, the different kind of business personalities is you have the person who's a builder who can build a business from the ground up. All right, you got people who are middleman guys who are more the relationship types that get people from one end and connect them with people from the other end, and then keep the profit in between. And then you got the investor types, which is another business personality where they're perfectly fine because they have the mental fortitude to be able to leave large sums of money with relatively untested or unknown business concepts or ideas and just let it go, right? Those different kind of business personalities take different kind of skill sets. For instance, I'm a middleman type of guy, right? I take relationships from people who want to build relationships with other people over here, and I bring them together either on the platform or just using sales, right? To be able to accomplish that, and I could be successful that way. However, if I decide to go build something from the ground up, it'd be very difficult for me because I'm not a day-to-day intricate kind of person. I can't do that. I can't. I'm more of a broad kind of. I gotta take the broad aspects of things so I can guide the ship. When it comes to a day-to-day element, I need an executive to be able to do that because executive is more wired for growth to be able to come in, work on a day-to-day, and build the company to where it needs to be. And me, as a kind of entrepreneurship kind of vision, it's my job to steer the ship with the innovations, right? I liken it to Steve Jobs versus Tim Cook. Steve Jobs brings the innovation, right? Tim Cook brings the growth. So you got the growth plus the innovation. You got Apple. Now, obviously, Tim Cook came before Steve Jobs, but you can see the kind of different dynamics they have, and you have to be able to play with your strengths, play with your role to be able to be successful. And right now, what we're watching is someone who's doing different things right now. So let's continue playing, and then we'll finish out.
Just like people can use it against you, you can use it to your own benefit.
Let me ask you, Kevin, because you have built such an amazing platform with over 1 million subscribers, done largely by using live streams. Kind of, what are some of the best practices that you think that a smaller?
I didn't build it by live stream. That's a misconception. I came to YouTube in 2015, and I built a platform on pre-recorded content because that's what the algorithm built. Live stream came along in 2017, and this is content creator stuff, but most people don't know the origin of it, from Google Hangouts, and this and that, and why it exists. So if we don't know why something exists, it's going to be kind of hard to forecast. And then I hear people saying, well, Kevin does it this way and that way. It's because I'm a student of the damn platforms. I have 1 million on YouTube and 1 million on Instagram. That's not an accident. It's diversification to try to become platform agnostic. This is old YouTube 101. And when you're heavily involved in one platform, that's all your eggs in one basket. But if you are willing to, most people haven't taken the time to sit down and learn YouTube, and then got to go sit down and learn.
This is where I got to pause it, right? Because he's talking about hold up. He's talking about having your eggs in one basket, right, on one platform. Not any one of these dudes out here have their eggs in one basket. They all have platforms outside of this. Matter of fact, the whole point of this conversation is because this brother over here wants to put another platform outside of this. What are we talking about here? What are we?
Facebook or Meta, then got to go sit down and learn Instagram. They go sit down and learn TikTok. Most people don't even want to do that. They just want to go to Canva, go someplace quick, throw some thumbnails together, and click on the live stream button, and that's cool. I want you to think back in the day. We had Mustang 5.0s. Those things were great, straight line. But YouTube is a winding road, and most people don't know how to handle the car. All we know how to do is hit the fucking gas, and then we get shocked. So this is why I say as content creators, you got to decide if you're going to do full-time content creation, part-time content creation, how seriously you want to get into it, irrespective of, the money, because YouTube can do what they want on their platform. And one of the main reasons that this Blacks&L side of YouTube is even kind of growing is a decision that YouTube made last year to focus on Black content, period, $100 million initiative. This just didn't happen.
Hey, dude, can you stop it for a second?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my thing, right? He said that he built his platform on pre-recorded content, right? If I'm going to look at somebody for a model of success on, quote, pre-recorded content, I'm going to look at Mr. Beast. I'm going to look at PewDiePie. I'm going to look at actual people who are blowing YouTube completely out of the water. Again, this is not stuff that people don't understand. We can easily go back and do a timeline and see when the exponential channel growth started. And that exponential channel growth did not start because of pre-recorded content. The channel growth got started as a result of a segment of a live stream that World Star Hip Hop popularized. So, this is my thing with the, quote, talking down on people that I have a really big issue with him. If I ever had a channel and my channel blew up to 10 million subscribers, even at 10 million subscribers, I'm a small star in the YouTube universe. You got red giants and black super holes. PewDiePie or like Mr. Beast, people have 88 million subscribers. PewDiePie has over 100 million subscribers. I mean, that's the model that I'm going to follow. It's not going to be a Kevin Samuels, lottery ticket of the draw who World Star Hip Hop decided to clip, and then I'll get some exponential growth off of that. I'm going to look at something that's been long term and sustained over time. And Mr. Beast is somebody who can really be looked at as far as somebody who's able to adopt, because if anybody remembers when YouTube Shorts first became available, Mr. Beast was actually experimenting with vertical shorts. He was experimenting with horizontal shorts. So my thing is, if you're really this guru, then what you should be doing as far as analytics is you should be showing us exponential growth with all of the other things that YouTube is adding in. What about your super comments button? Because YouTube has just recently added in the super comments button. Are you getting a lot of super comments? Because that's an option that's available. How about your shorts utilization? Are you getting a lot of channel growth and views off of shorts? How is all of your analytics looking? So my thing is, I have an issue with people like Kevin Samuels because he's unable to humble himself in order to give healthy advice. It's always just kind of like a undeserving critique, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion.
But no. But I see where you're coming from with that, and that's what I'm not saying that that's probably what he was thinking. Maybe he wanted to mean that in a helpful way, but it does come off very, very arrogant. Whereas it's like you're saying things without considering the other perspective. It's like it worked for you, but it's not going to work for other people. And honestly, I wouldn't say that Kevin Samuels, his platform is definitely tested, but nowhere near to the level of especially PewDiePie. PewDiePie went up against YouTube for peace sakes, bro. They were trying to shut this dude down. That's like when the whole entire platform that you're doing business with trying to take you down and you still win. Yeah, you've been tested, guy. You've been tested more than any. Like we talk about battle tested, and these guys. Another thing that you pointed out that I think that makes sense. They can almost predict virality of videos, right? It's almost like anything they do is almost a goddamn banger. Millions of goddamn views. If you want to know the telltale sign of a successful channel, even if they're past 1 million, look at their views. I look at channels all the time. When you talk about red giants and red super giants and things like that, they're channels who are at 1 million plus subs, and on top of that, their views get 1 million plus views per video. Over 1 million views per video. That's how you know that you have people with audience and all that stuff engaged, and they're waiting for that next video. Those are kind of advices that I'd be taking. But then we're looking at someone who made his platform, and he did it in a way where it was very unique, and obviously his skills and his salesmanship was able to bleed through. You're speaking to a different element. Anton Daniels is not you, brother. Freaking, JR is not you. They're different people who come from different worlds, who build things differently. They're not builders like you. They're not investors like someone like, I wouldn't say lead attorney would be, but they don't have those. Their personality type is to get on and keep moving. They have that entrepreneurship spirit. They need to get moving. They don't working with structures, especially when we talk about somebody being slighted by a structure that's supposed to be working around. Of course, they're going to lean towards being independent, but you can't give them a standardized advice about reading terms and conditions and understanding the platform. You can understand the platform until your face turns blue, but the fact of the matter is, the censorship game and the terms and conditions are always going to change. They're always going to be different, because that's the only thing that's going to be constant. So you can't give a standardized advice or static advice to a world that's always changing. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think
channels like vidIQ, those channels like vidIQ, there's a channel on YouTube called vidIQ, and they literally show formulas to do things like boost your YouTube utilization and watch time and subscribers through shorts and different engagement tools. So like my thing is I get it, I understand, I appreciate it, but it's just interesting to see the communication dynamic. That kind of communication dynamic. If Anton Daniels was not a person who was very independent and a strong-minded person, there's a lot of people who call, like you said in the beginning, they call Kevin Samuels a saint. And, you know what comes along with being a saint. Most people think that saints are called saints because they can do no wrong or because they do everything right.
That starts to become a problem.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not willing to go against that and you kind of don't question that and you actually put your entire faith into something that he says, I mean, there goes your dream. And to me, that's detrimental.
Yeah, hey, let me not catch one of y'all out here calling. Don't stand over this channel. Don't stand over me or anybody else on this panel. You better learn how to think for yourself. Come up with your own. I better see disagreements in that fucking chat. Because that's critical thinking is what helps build strong-minded people. And I full-heartedly believe that, even down to this platform. Look at the chat. Look at the kind of conversations people are having. You obviously know it shows that people have different sorts of mentality, and they're not afraid to come in and have their challenge. But not only that, if the idea is a challenge, they're not afraid to accept when they're wrong. So I'm glad that we have a bunch of humble people watching this and doing this stuff because it makes a lot of sense. But I absolutely agree, Black. Listen, man. This whole deification of these content creators, right? And some of these other guys are talking about Saint Kevin and Saint Kevin this, brother. I'm gonna tell you right now.
I heard worse.
Listen, coming from a guy who respects. Listen, I respect the OGs in the space. I have to. I let y'all know that right now. And y'all know that, some of y'all, but when you hear something like that, bro, and we're expecting to listen to you for advice on how to be a leader, and then you're looking at another guy who, by the way, you helped build, and you turn around and call him a. Let me continue this video. I ain't even gonna touch that, dog. It's just weird. Hey, don't be calling me no saint. I ain't no saint, bro. I tell people all the time, I ain't shit, bro, and I'm proud of it. Listen, look, I don't claim to be anything special because I know I'm not that special. So that helps me get throughout life the best way I can. No egos, no goddamn pride. I'm just moving on to get along because I know we all go to the same place in the end. So please don't be doing that.
Algorithm changes several times a month. So ultimately my point is, as content creators, do you know the business of YouTube? And if you don't, you're always going to be, there's a vulnerability. And it's kind of like what made Peyton Manning a great quarterback? What made Tom Brady great quarterbacks? Because they were like, what do they say? They're players and coaches at the same time, right? That's what content creators are going to have to become. You're going to become content creators and coaches at the same time, because this environment is forever changing. And YouTube is trying to keep up with Facebook. YouTube and Google is trying to keep up with Facebook and Instagram, who are both being challenged by TikTok. And most people don't even have any idea what the hell I just said. We just make videos.
But that's an assumption. Like, we all clearly know TikTok's a big platform because all people ever react to with YouTube videos are TikTok videos. So we know TikTok's a big player in town because that's a big money maker. A lot of content creators are basically recognized. Everyone is reacting to TikTok videos, whether it's on YouTube Shorts or whether it's on actual YouTube videos. Everyone's reacting to TikTok videos. So everyone knows that TikTok's...
They are the new players, so they haven't.
They are the new players, but they haven't exactly. No, they haven't been proven. They haven't been tested. But we do know that whatever that they have going with the algorithms and the way they shape content, it works, and it works enough that all these other content platforms want to be able to adopt that with Facebook with their Reels platform or YouTube with their Shorts. Either way, they're all trying to adapt to what's happening. However, it doesn't change the fact that we all know that TikTok's a big platform. We all know that, but to assume that people don't know this is just disingenuous to me.
Gotta go, Duke, come out.
All right, take it easy, Bernie.
Flacco and Rob him out.
All right, Pete, Bernie.
Here, brother. But I mean, and another thing that people don't talk about is how horrible, like, if anything, TikTok is, even for platforms like YouTube. Because anything, I would think that YouTube is geared towards longer form content. Even guys like Kevin Samuel, every guy on this freaking this lead attorney is known for long stroking niggas. All right. We got a long stroker certified over here. All right, we got Kevin Samuels makes long content. Lapeef Network, they all make long content. This is what YouTube's all about. So when we're looking at TikTok, it's also poisonous because it's encouraging people to have short attention spans, which is AKA detrimental to every single one of these people on the platform, including us.
Well, that's true, Duke, what you're saying. And here I had two things that I wanted to jump in and say, because you brought up some great points. The first thing is that the other platforms of social media are not reacting or innovating. What they're doing is they're reacting to TikTok. YouTube introduced Shorts to compete and integrate with TikTok. Filmora X, the software company for editing, they've even put in a 15-second, 60-second sample to be able to integrate parts of videos into YouTube Shorts, Reels, like you said, Snapchat, all of these different things. Facebook Stories has now integrated all of this stuff, right? So there's that. The second thing is Kevin Samuels talks about analytics and how we don't know how to use our analytics and all of this stuff, right? Now, here's the thing. Analytics gives you a little portion where it shows the highest engagement section of your video, whether it's long form content or short form content, the point where people are clicking the most and writing the most comments and doing the most things or subscribing or whatever. Those parts are all talked about in the analytics. You could literally take that part of the analytics and form all of your short reels or your clip reels with that. And there's not too many people who are doing that. There's not too many people who are that deep into the analytics or even understand the analytics to do that kind of thing, unless you're sitting there watching a channel like TubeBuddy or you're watching a channel like vidIQ every day and you know all of these things. So I mean, just these kind of things that he's saying. Like, my thing is if you should offer that stuff as advice to people instead of trying to talk down to people again in the fashion of just trying to crush somebody's dream. I can't get behind that.
Listen, I'm looking at the faces on here, and it don't seem like anyone's upbeat about whatever he's saying. But to be fair to Kevin, he did say it was gonna sting a little bit. But it's just the way the messaging is coming off. It's just like, yo, I get it, you're where you're at, but it just that you. Let's keep playing because we can get some stuff, but it's one of those things where it just doesn't apply, man. It really doesn't.
So,
Right, and
you
it's
guys want
true.
to sit down and do a powwow behind the scenes. I've been saying, like I said, O'Shea and those guys back up. I've been saying this for years that you gotta learn the platforms. You gotta learn them, or you're just gonna be at the mercy of a bunch of stuff that you can't forecast.
Gotcha. Yeah, I would love that because I'm learning a lot not only from you, Kev, but also from Latif, also from Anton. This situation, it's difficult when you don't have a lot of time on. No one can be a Tom Brady or a Peyton Manning in a year, right? There's a learning curve to this, and so when brothers really support each other and help each other out and give game to one another, it's hugely appreciated because you are exactly right. The barrier to entry to YouTube is so small. I mean, you don't even need a camera; you can use your phone, right? And so that's why they have millions of content creators.
My bad, y'all. I just gotta let this buffer a little bit.
I thought
It's time to go.
frozen. I was like, God damn it, we frozen.
Yeah, right. Interruptions. We gotta figure out what's going on here. Hold up.
Yeah, everybody super chat my man do right now so he can get a better internet.
Yeah, we gotta upgrade. Struggle Network.
Struggles
so,
over here, man.
Brothers
But
really
let the
support
soup
each
for
other
you.
and help each other out and give game to one another. It's
That, and you've been doing it for a long time. It's kind of like, well, how'd you lose it? Like I often mention Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V. He was one of the first people that pushing the notion of being platform agnostic, because the one thing that any of us has is we have an audience, we have eyeballs, but until you really until you're really in charge of that attention, you're at your potential vulnerable spots. And I get it. People don't, and this has always been the biggest thing. Like, well, I don't have time to learn this and that. Like, well, then it's not going to change. So I don't buy it. I think maybe I think we just, and I guess I've said this for a long time. A lot of times, but folks just don't want to really sit down and do it because they're just not that interested in it. So, but case in point, live streaming, opening your platform up to everybody. I've been saying this for the longest. It's exceptionally dangerous. I've been saying this. I've been sending emails and stuff for the longest, but it's just kind of, okay.
He has a point there. I wouldn't say we haven't had videos banned or taken off air because people's reported it. I wouldn't say that it does happen, especially when you run open platforms like this. You got to be careful of who you bring on, because not everyone has the best intentions. For instance, we can speak from example, because Poppy, even being a moderator here, you have how many trolls you're gonna have to deal with, then we have to deal with backstage and all the different stuff. So it happens, right? People are generally out to get you because they just don't want to see you succeed. It is what it is, and it's a general risk. However, there's also a growth strategy to having an open platform, because of the discussions. We're able to bring an element into the manosphere that you don't really see a whole lot in other places, right? Even with Lead Attorney doing what he did, right? That's also helping out his platform and getting people from all walks of life. That's helping out every single one of these guys who have platforms right now to have it sort of open, even down to Kevin Samuels, who's opening up a little bit. Now, granted, it's not to the kind of level that we have it, but he, to a certain extent, has people coming on and women coming on and having the conversations and whatnot. So, a certain degree, it is even down to the physical in-person interviews that he's doing. Right, that's opening up a little bit. I would say, even down to having more conversation with the men, that's opening up a little bit. Right, it just comes down to, like we talk about vetting process with the women, we're just vetting process with our audience and who comes up. Right, we just have to figure out as content creators and people who run platforms to be able to put together safety mechanisms in place to protect ourselves, right? Maybe if we see a couple people backstage that we're not familiar with, we'll see them maybe have to pop up a couple times. Maybe we have to see them engage in the chat a little bit to prove that they're not on some BS crap, and then we see them in backstage another video, then we pop them on, right? And that's kind of how I've been running our platform to the point where we haven't had like craziness. Not saying it's not impossible, but I see a lot of people backstage, and it's like, all right, well, I got to see if that same name matches what people who are engaged in the chat. If I see you engaged in the chat, all right, come on up. Let's see what you got to say. Come on up. Let's bring you up, because clearly, you're having thoughtful conversations. So it's just different mechanisms in place that we need to lay down that's going to help our style of content become successful within this space. Just like it's helped the Lead Attorney, it's helped Anton Daniels, it's helped JR, and it's also helped Kevin Samuels. So I think it's a little bit disingenuous to say that, I'm not saying it's not dangerous, but to try to paint it as if it's something that look out. We just have to figure out the mechanism in place. And but Kevin Samuels is right in that sense where it is dangerous. But I think that we can it's something that guys we can blow past that.
Well, another thing that I think, Duke, is that people need to understand the difference between hate and critique. See, I think that people have a very difficult time separating the two. Now, in this video, in this live stream, I don't think that anybody has, hated on Kevin Samuels per se, right? I think that a lot of us have, differences of opinion. And in my opinion, as men, this is one of the problems with like these male spaces. As soon as there's a critique, it becomes, well, you're a hater or you're a clout chaser. I've critiqued all of these guys. I mean, I tell everybody this on my channel all the time. I love Abba and Preach. Those are probably two of the YouTube content creators that I've followed the longest. But there's a lot of stuff that they say at times that I absolutely do not agree with. Sometimes when I do a reaction video to some of their content, it'll be, I agree. Sometimes when I do a reaction video to their content, it'll be, I disagree. If you look at the older videos on my content, a lot of the things that I said about Kevin Samuels, I've changed my position on. And the reason why is because further research, further observation. But now, am I hating? Do I want to see his platform fail? Do I want to see anybody's platform on YouTube fail? No. I want to see everybody be as successful as they can be. And that's one of the reasons why I feel that this conversation about what Antoine is trying to do, because without the appropriate critiques of somebody who has a position that a lot of people disagree with, I think that could be detrimental to the decision-making process. So ideas should always be exchanged. And the thing is that men, as men, if we want to continue to sit here and point and say, well, we're the logical ones and women are illogical, then you have to get out of your feelings. And if you're being critiqued, either accept the critique or articulate it intelligently. I don't think that the Lead Attorney or Kevin Samuels or any of these fellas should have any issue with anything that we're saying, because we are content creators just like them. And all of the points that we've been making have been backed in evidence. So, nobody's telling Kevin Samuels to change his business model. We're just criticizing his advice. Some of the things that Kevin Samuels said, like what you were talking about just now, Duke, are things that are logical and that we agree with. And that should not be a problem. Me and Duke, we run our platforms completely different. we talk about these kind of things every day. When I'm on Duke's platform, I respect Duke's platform because he is the ruler and the king of this platform, and he makes the rules. I'm a guest here, so I abide by his rules. However, when I'm on my platform, which is the whole building your own thing, I do things the way that I do them. And then once we all grow outside of YouTube, then we create all of the rules. And that should always be the goal, is growing outside of whatever cocoon it is that you're in my opinion, which is why I have so much support for Anton in this situation.
Same here. Same freaking here. Let's Poppy, you want to add to that, or we can finish off the video? But
like my man Black, like he couldn't say it any better. No, I didn't see not even one bad thing we said about those brothers over here at all.
it's all.
Yeah, you're right. They didn't even mention it at all and talk about Kevin Samuel. Like, I feel like the advice was wrong. And I feel different. I feel like the advice, I think he was giving the advice more towards other people before giving it, instead of giving it to Anton. That's what I think. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think there were certain elements of that too. But this stream is about Anton, not other people. Their channel got banned, not other people. We're talking about them and how lessons that we can learn. So the context matters, because if this live stream is about them and his channel being banned, then why are we bringing other content creators? Let's talk about what we were just talking about earlier. What mechanisms can we put in place that we can then say, okay, well, this is how you protect yourself if you're going to be running open platforms, or this is the kind of advice you need to take if you want to be able to be successful in this space, regardless of what kind of platform you want to run. But instead of saying, okay, well, everybody, let me just give you the standardized advice, because right now, these brothers aren't looking for standardized advice. You're talking to veterans over here. All these guys have ran successful platforms, so no need to talk to them like you're talking to everybody else. No need. Let's get on some boss shit. Let's get on some business shit and talk to these men like men, so other young men who are trying to come up can get the goddamn message. That's all we're saying. And I don't think they will each have have problems with what we're saying, because everything we're saying here is it's facts, and just based off of observation that we have. It's an observation, because I think if we fall into the trap of just buying everything that one person says, there's got to be some level of disagreement. If we got to be the channel to do it, that's fine. Not saying that we hate. There's something about honest criticism and hating, and I think Poppy, you talked about that. No one's hating. We want to see every single one of these guys be successful, because indirectly that falls on us. Kevin Samuels, people react to Kevin Samuels videos. Look at what kind of stuff that the money it's brought into the manosphere, right? People making YouTube money left and right just reacting to Kevin Samuels. Whole channels blowing up just reacting to Kevin Samuels videos. Even the same thing with Fresh and Fit. As bad as we can talk about them, Fresh and Fit helped break the hole for a lot of new content creators to be able to jump on the scene, including Duke and Don. So there's a lot of valuable gems into this. There are a lot of different strategies into it, but saying that, hey, the terms and conditions, learning how to use the platform, this is going to be your way to success. I agree with that, but that's a message for a different crowd. And if we're talking to Anton Daniels over here, Anton Daniels and Lapeef, they already have established networks. That's not the conversation we're talking about here. The conversation would be about safety, not learning how to build platforms. His advice is perfect for people who are starting out, but these are veterans. Damn near OGs in the space now. Why are we treating them like fucking children don't really know any better? They know what the hell's going on. But it's honest criticism, and we're always going to be fair. I've seen platforms that criticize some of these people, and it's like some of it, I think y'all going way too crazy into it. Y'all are reading way too much into it. But I think this is a fair, honest criticism, because I think other people can watch what we watch and say, hey, I'm thinking the exact same thing, but then everyone else is coming out with a different conclusion. We're not a monolith here. We can respectfully disagree. Let's continue.
Because if you open your platform up to everybody, and you don't have a firm grasp on the technology, and you don't have a firm grasp on what YouTube is looking for, all it takes is one person who knows more than you to do a complete denial of service attack, and you lose everything. And then, we're in a situation like this, and it comes along as almost like not I told you so, but this is what it is. There's a reason I make people cam up. There's a reason I have green rooms and checks and balances and all this other kind of stuff, because everybody don't like you.
Right.
and this is perfect. This is perfect because I agree with that. I like the fact that he's talking about that. He's talking about the mechanisms that he put in place, and having people cam up, and even some of those elements in watching Kevin Samuels shows we applied to our show, and I've seen it being applied to other shows that run open platforms. Right? Cam up, right? Cam up. You want in the break? I got to be able to see you back there, right? The way he used Zoom and however other platform he was using, right? How we made that happen, keep it backstage. That's fine. Now, would I go to those lengths? Nah, I'd rather just keep it the StreamYard. It's easier. It's one straight line, right? But even him he's making that switch over to StreamYard because it's a lot easier, right? But those advices are perfect. So he's right in that sense, right? Coming up with ways to be able to protect ourselves as open platform content creators.
It's a green room.
Huh?
What the hell is a green room?
Kind of like backstage.
Well, this part of what Kevin Samuels is saying, I absolutely agree with. Like this, in my opinion, is absolutely 100% healthy criticism. And in my opinion, the reason why is because it was really good when Anton was on here because he was talking in business terms, but this is helping you protect your factor of production.
Yeah.
When it comes to this YouTube thing, your stream, your channel, your audience, specifically for YouTube, that's your factor of production. That's what we were talking about the other day when we were talking about how you can use YouTube as your marketing department for moving your audience to another platform. And by doing that, Kevin Samuels is giving advice on security mechanisms in order to make sure that what happened doesn't happen again. And this particular portion, I think, is great advice.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, no, it's great advice, and yeah, we don't need to be because that's one of the biggest critiques of the manosphere space, particularly the Black manosphere space, is that everyone thinks the same. Everyone has the same kind of mentality, the same kind of thought process, and that's just wrong. We need to be proud of the alternative, just the voice to basically say, hey, this is what we see, and we want to be able to have the criticism so we can open up the conversation. That's it. The criticism is just a mechanism to open up dialogue. That's all we want. So that way, that dialogue brings out clarification, right? Just like we were talking about J.R. Bugs with his initial concern when he was talking about it, we were able to go ahead and clarify it. But we wouldn't be able to do that if we didn't have a dialogue or we weren't as engaging with the people we're talking to, right? So that way, we're engaging with people and have this open discussion, people are more likely to understand and see where you're coming from. So that's just basically what we're trying to get here. KS, shout out to you for the $5 super chat. When advice is given, the person should look at the specifics instead of the generality. There you go. No, that's the argument. You just simplified the argument I was trying to make, right? We're looking at something that's very specific to Anton and JR's channel, and he's giving general advice. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't work. It doesn't work out. That's where this is how contradictions can arise, and people can get confused and things like that. Is because he's talking to a completely different crowd, and he's not part of Anton's not part of that crowd. He's a veteran with a well-established Patreon that is fucking furious that someone decided to take his platform from underneath them that he's been building. Their platforms. So they have a right to be angry and want to have their own stuff. You're a systems guy, they're not. Two big worlds.
Some people can just do it to be spiteful. And if they want to take advantage of something that you may not know or have learned, that's a learning opportunity. That's why I say, behind the scenes as content creators, it would be my suggestion to everybody to do what I've been imploring for the last several years. Learn the systems, or you're going to always be vulnerable. And the vulnerabilities, you can't even forecast it. You'll always be, what I want to say is you'll be reactive. It'll be happening after it happens versus being proactive. And I think that's what's important. Last couple things. One, male-centric content is new, and while it's growing, there are many people who don't like it. It's upsetting the ecosystem and things like this. So, my personal opinion is it's time. If we're gonna just approach this thing as everybody loves us and it's all kumbaya, that's rather naive. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of influence out there being garnered, and even your chat room. Before it started, I was looking in the chat room. Good, we got them because all they do is talk crazy about this. Now next to this person, you got hit listening, And different way. Even though I look at myself as Kevin, when you're sitting in front of people every day with thousands of eyeballs and people are paying, you're not who you were before you got here. You're not. You're simply not. And especially if you have a channel over 50,000, it usually takes 3 years to get a channel over 1,000 subscribers. So I think as content creators, we need to really kind of sit down and talk about, some of us have grown. The growth has been larger, but it's also like, okay, we still you need to grow into your body. Knowledge needs to grow along with it because it ain't gonna stop. So I know it's kind of a little bit all over the place, but it's such a big problem. Right. It's such a big issue. There's no one way to really address it, and to be honest, outside of keeping the audience and the viewers and things informed, much of this stuff, the technical pieces of it, really are better handled off behind camera, behind closed doors. One, because then people can't know how to attack you.
That's a great point.
I got if there's any questions about anything, I got a couple minutes.
Yeah, you just dropped so much knowledge. I gotta ruminate a lot.
Well, I see the thing is, I think a lot of brothers want to be like, I want to keep it cordial and light, and everybody's involved in this and that. But as I was telling you earlier, look, man, you can't just get up on stage with JC. You can't just go stand and talk next to the mayor. There's reason that there's security and protocols.
Right.
And when we have to act like, you got 120-some thousand, and how many people did you have on the people? You got to keep your sub count private or public.
We had it private, but we was approaching 100,000.
Okay, I want you guys to understand. Go to a stadium where there's 100,000 people. Stand on the 50-yard line, and so you get some scope. I think because we've seen these numbers, we start to act like it's not. It's like, well, we got 1,000 people in the chat room. You know how many thousand people is? Go to a basketball game where there's 16,000 people in an arena for an NBA game. And we act like that's really kind of small. No, it's not. It's huge. And if you look at the amount of people who can really garner attention and eyeballs, many times I think we're overly humble, overly naive about our impact and our reach. Which is why oftentimes I don't say a lot of stuff because I have to be cognizant of the fact that you may look at yourself one way, you've got this amount of eyeballs, and you have to understand that that's the impact. And that's what needs to catch up, because if you start looking at yourself, like if you were, let's say, if you were a mayor of a township of 100,000 people, lead attorney, you'd move a different way. That's 100,000 people in the township. If you got a mayor of the Peach City, and you'd move a different way. Versus, hey, come on to my office, got the open door policy and so forth. That's nice. There's some people who want to see you gone.
Right. Man, I mean, you're absolutely right. Everything you're saying is totally true. And I guess the issue, specifically with my channel, is that, since I had 1,000 subscribers in January, like you were saying, the growth has been pretty fast. And I remember, at 2,000 subscribers, you can have an open door policy because it's almost like no one cares anyway, right? You don't even have enough subs for the hate. And then it'll come to 20,000 and things are still going good, but then it gets to 40,000, it starts to get a little rocky at 60 and 80, but it can grow so fast. You can look up, and the way you've always done things is the only way you really know how to do them. And you say, well, okay, it's gotten me this far, but then you are unprepared for all the things that come with your new numbers. So what you were saying is absolutely true with my case.
Well, I was telling Anton earlier, I was like, and I'm not going to repeat it here, but I was like, there's a way that what happened, it could have been exponentially worse. There's a way to make sure that they wouldn't have came back, period. And we got to start acting like, see, when my goal is for black men to start treating black male media like a business, like the large organization.
You already know. You already know. Hey, brother. Hey, listen, St. Kevin. I'm sorry, brother. That's talking out of two sides of your mouth. I'm sorry, but that's what it is. We can't just say, okay, We got to start taking black male media seriously, and we look at a man who's trying to take it seriously and say, okay, no, let's work within the system. I'm so confused now. Like I'm genuinely confused. Dog. Like which one is it? Should we get a black male media and start working towards all coming together? Lead attorney, Kevin Samuels, Lapeef Network, Anton Daniels, Pocket Watching, O'Shea Duke Jackson, mediocre review and tutorials, Pocket Watch, Poor Man podcast, all these different guys in the space. Are we going to start taking it seriously and start really investing in outside sources so we don't have our eggs in one basket, like Kevin Samuels said earlier, right? Because a lot of people tend to have their eggs in one basket, which every single one of these guys don't. All right, so is it one of those where we build something outside of this, or do we work and stay within the system? Well, which is it? Because it seems like these guys are trying to take black male media seriously, and they're getting fucked for it. So we need a backup plan. Which is it? This is a contradictory crap that I'm talking about here, man. I gotta call it out. I'm sorry.
Here goes my thing. Like, as far as the whole rule following thing, right? In my opinion, that's fine. As long as you understand that rule following is for using YouTube as a stepping stone to your next goal. Because one thing that sets Anton apart from what KS was saying was that he said that the Lapeef Network had like a 10 to 15-year plan. And in my opinion, that 10 to 15-year plan is important because that clearly indicates that he's going beyond YouTube, or either he's going to change the way that YouTube changes. Because like I said, when YouTube was first created, nobody knew it was going to be, a search engine. It was just a place where people would upload videos. You know what I mean? So now YouTube has changed into a search engine. You can find things to search on there, and now you also have short like TikTok. You got live streams like other platforms. You have all kinds of stuff. You see what I'm saying? So my thing is, like, as far as that advice goes, it's good as long as you understand that it's stepping stone advice. In my opinion, it shouldn't be stationary advice. But the way that Kevin Samuels' delivery was in that video, it made it seem like it's stationary advice, and no environment is static. So
absolutely, because he goes through periods talking about is the ever changing, but you got to follow the rules so you can be static, and it's like, dude, there's too much. You're doing too much. Let me shout out Mr. C. Listen, the email just popped up. Thank you for the $20 cash app. We thank you. We gotta start checking these actually. But I appreciate that, man. Real talk, that helps out. But yeah, man, it's one of those things where we can't be contradictory. But I wanted to end on that note because that was the segment, so you guys see what we're talking about here. And it really, shout out to you, Anton. Thank you for coming up on the platform. I really appreciate you sharing your thoughts on this. But I hope you understood where we were coming from, right? We're looking at Kevin Samuels being an executive-minded person used to running or working well underneath infrastructures, and then we have someone like Anton Daniels who's not. I'm not saying he's not an executive type, but he's more of the entrepreneurship spirit type, where they work well under known rules, no structures whatsoever, but their own dreams and volition. So that's just what needs to be. We're talking about general advice to people who are just who are completely different creatures, and it just doesn't work out that well. So I think when we're looking at these kind of ideas, we just got to make sure that we're not applying the general to the specifics, and we're not applying the specifics to the general, because then we start to give mixed signals here. I mean, that's what ends up happening, man. It really, it sucks. Authentic Alphas, welcome, bro. Shout out to you. Hey, everybody's asking when we're gonna do content again. Let them know. Yeah, feeling the tired, man. Just wanted to do a podcast. Everybody wears a suit for a while. You beat me to it, brother. Good. Hey, let's do it. Hey, we'll keep doing this. It seems like people really digging the suits, bro. But yeah. No, shout out to you, man. Thanks for showing up. But yeah, it's those things, man. We gotta start getting tight with it. But I do agree overwhelmingly. Part of what Kevin says, we do need to start taking black media seriously. But if we're gonna taking it seriously, part of that seriousness is also considering other options outside of the main platform that everyone's eating off of right now. I think that's a viable thing. So that shouldn't be a grounds to basically say, hey, Anton, I get what you're going for, but let's slow it down and let's go back into the rules. I think that's a little bit of different dynamic. If we're going to take it seriously, then we need to start considering platforms outside of this space.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Poppy, got anything to add? What you got? Words of wisdom from Poppy Black. Go.
Yeah,
AKA
Hey, Black John
I
Wick.
got from National Advisor. No, but this was good, man. It's always a good vibe when I'm with my boy Dunk and my boy Black. We always be talking like this throughout the whole day anyway, through the goddamn chat group anyway. So this is normal. This is normal right here. The only difference was the video now. But going back to the subject, man. Like people were saying, like it's like this, man. Like everybody keeps saying that, oh, we gotta create this, we gotta create that, and that from what I understand, it will be like created for us, meaning like for black people. You see what I'm saying? Because technically we don't own anything, we don't own shit. Like we 77% of the NFL, but we don't own a thing. We 70% of the NBA, we don't own a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The same thing in baseball. Baseball is more towards Latino, but the majority is Latino, but they don't own it either. You see what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is minorities, we don't have anything. You see what I'm saying? So what I want to know is, where do we start? You see what I'm saying? That's what I want. Where do we start so we can own something? Obviously, it's not gonna be as big as Google or YouTube. That's gonna be like nearly impossible to match it right away. I mean, it's not impossible later on, but to start, that's kind of possible. But where do we start as a people to start developing those kind of apps, those kind of software to everybody have their own stream? Not everybody, but for a black person to actually own a good product when it comes to streaming service. Where do we start then? You see what I'm saying? I thought for 1 minute that Jay-Z was gonna do it, but he sold it. Typo. He bought it for about what, like 26 million, and he turned around and sold it for like 400 million.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And I thought it was gonna do something when he bought it. Like when he bought it, nobody knew. That's when the streaming service was like kind of new. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And then the streaming service became the big thing. Netflix made the streaming service like kind of pop up in a way, and he sold it. So I was like, okay, I thought this was gonna. I thought we had a plan, but he was like, as you can see, we're just trying to make money. You see what I'm saying? Just a quick flip.
But it starts with people who are visionaries, right? People who are visionaries in the sense of building something to have it stand, and those people are very rare, right? So if you have someone who has a vision and wants to act upon it, and not only just a vision, but a vision for their people and the community that they care about, that's very, very hard to find, because a lot of people nowadays, they're more selfish minded, so they want to think about what's best for them. That's why you can see guys like Jay-Z, and they can build companies from 26 million and then sell it at 400 million, because to them it was never about the people. Even though the marketing can say, hey, we're doing this for black people, you got black people get their own stuff, but they weren't really doing it for the people. It was for the money. That's how you can tell, right? So we need here to where it starts is we need genuine, honest people who will come into the space where it's not so much about the goddamn money, but it's about the message. And when the message comes through and it's about the vision, and then you add that with the vision, then you're going to be unstoppable. It doesn't matter who approaches you and how much money you have in the bank to basically try to buy you out. You have a vision of what this platform is supposed to stand for, and you have the drive to keep it the way it is. So it doesn't matter how much people are offering money. You have your own little slice of heaven on this hell that we're living in, and that's the problem. A lot of people, they're too selfishly motivated to be able to do that, so they're more ready to say, hey, I get to this point, I'm going to sell everything, right, and keep my cut, right, versus keeping it for people, and even for black folks, to have something that we own and something that we can call our own, right, and on this whole mess. And it sucks that, it's hard to get there, but that's where we need to start. It starts with that visionary. That's why when I look at Anton Daniels and what he's trying to do, I 100% support that, brother. You go ahead and build your thing, and, we'll support you. We're backing you, man, because that's what you want to see. That's the kind of mentality and mindset that we love in this space. Not saying that Kevin Samuels is wrong. He's right, but he's right in his own sense, right? But it's for a different crowd and different kind of people it applies to, but not guys who are go-getters and guys who will have to go for the jugulars, all right? We're jugular getters, right? We're throat cutters. That's what we do. Dog it, dog. It is what it is. We go after what matters, right? And other people, they go after it, but they do it in a different way. They work with the system. Nothing wrong with that. It's just that different people, different rules.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think there's two major things: psychology, the psyche. One thing that I can't stand is anytime somebody comes with a new idea, everybody always says, "Well, quote, they're not going to let you do this." People need to stop caring about something that they or any they is going to stop them from. You have to stop looking at yourself as if you can be stopped. First and foremost, anybody who wants to go into anything that's innovative or entrepreneurial has to look at themselves like they're the juggernaut. They're an unstoppable force, and nothing is going to stop you. If you look at the history of the United States, people have everybody has a selective understanding of how the United States came to be. But one thing that the United States came to be, one way that it came to be, was there was a lot of criminal activity that went on. And then when a legal system was created, laws were made against replicating those criminal activities that those people who started the United States used to establish the United States. It's the same thing with the antitrust laws. Honestly, it boggles my mind how Google hasn't gotten shut down with antitrust talks, because Google has so much, reach and so much control over the internet and search engine business. I mean, it just takes a second for the government to take a magnifying glass and say, you know what, we're going to break this up. So the legal system is basically an automatic monopoly security system, so that no one can do to the United States what the United States did to become a country. And if we want to do these kind of things, we have to say, you know what? I don't care about the boundaries. I'm going to do what I got to do. I'm not going to be controlled by anything. And once I build up enough legacy, enough money, I'm going to put my own securities into place where this can't be touched. I mean, if you think about it, if you look at the mafia, right? The mafia involved itself in illegal activities, and now they have TV shows, mob wives, different things like that. You watch Sons of Anarchy. What did Jax Teller always say? He said, I want to flip the motorcycle club into legitimate business. Everything should always be based on starting something up, getting a revenue generating asset, and flipping it into legitimate business so you can have generational wealth and build an empire. And a lot of people are only on that short-term wavelength. And if you stay on that short-term wavelength, then everything is going to stay the way that it is.
It would destroy you too, and you would lose the ability to adapt. But yeah, no, that's facts. And you know what? It seems like y'all were very into this business type of conversation, like just keeping the business. Like, so maybe one of these days we will just do a stream where we're just breaking all that stuff down. We're talking a little about economics, and even talking about different startup opportunities that a lot of people who don't really have a whole lot, you can do right now. Right? I can tell you right now, there's some opportunities that I took using the money I made in the car business that helped me further my entrepreneurship vision and what I was able to build outside of that. So, learning the skills and the tools that are available to you guys, man, it's going to help each and every one of you guys individually be successful. But you got to be able to embrace the suck, meaning you got to embrace the fact that shit sucks, and you got to be able to work through it, and you will be successful, guaranteed. But you got to be able to do the work. Listen, I was able to do it at 19. At a young age, I was making 6 figures. So that's all you already know. Like the whole high value concept, it doesn't apply to everybody, because if it did, I wouldn't be able to fit in that category because of my age at the particular time when I started making the money. So I'm gonna let y'all know right now, it is very possible, but it does take hard work, blood, sweat, and grit. Which is most important, grit, the goddamn determination, to be able to, and the resilience to be able to handle what life throws your way. And the most important aspect is being able to adapt as well. So all these different skills, we can have these conversations to really give you guys the inside kind of soul knowledge you're gonna need to get you out there. A lot of these guys that do handle some of the technical stuff. Anton Daniels does that too. Check out his Patreon too as well. But I think in having those conversations we're having, talking about the actual work that needs to be done, not only internally but externally, I think it's going to be very beneficial to you guys. So we'll figure out where to incorporate that. But yeah, we'll have more of those conversations. But with that being said, y'all, you already know what time it is. It's time to head the hell out. All right. So I appreciate you guys being here for the conversation. I would say we had a really great convo. I think we did. I think I ironed out a couple things right. We realized that, hey, there's some right here, there was some wrong here, but ultimately we got down to the meat and potatoes, and that's really what all matters in the end, man. Coming together, having these conversations. It doesn't matter if we agree, it doesn't matter if we disagree, but the conversations opens up the dialogue towards understanding, and that's what we want in this space. More understanding, more people to come in and feel welcome, more people to feel like the shit that they're getting is actually going to help them out into their lives. And honestly, it's honestly the best way to go. So real talk, thank you guys in the chat. Thank you to new subs. Thank you to the viewers. Thank you to every single person who's participating to make the show what it is. And we'll catch you guys back on the back end. All right. With that being said, we will catch
you tomorrow because we got a regularly scheduled program on Wednesday, people. So don't forget to miss that show. Look out for the thumbnails because we have conversations like this all the damn time. So you definitely don't want to miss that. Check us out on Wednesday. And with that being said, guys, peace.